Yeah, I mean, if you need to do something, but
Hey,
I can get it all set up
we good to
real
go.
quick.
Hello, my friends. We are live once again. We are back. Revolutionary Blackout. I was out this weekend, but we like, man, this episode is gonna be wild because we got a lot to talk about. I'm been chomping at a bit. I can't wait to get to the show tonight. My brother CJ is in the house.
What's up,
Man,
man?
this show's so fun, dude. Because I got a lot of crazy things. Because you guys know, Monday night is Nick showing CJ crazy shit. So,
Yes,
I'm very interested in this conversation. CJ, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm gonna ask you how you doing? How the family with everything going on? Everything's good.
Yeah. So, more people who follow my Twitter knows what kind of happened, but my grandfather, we did get on the receipts for the AOC thing, but my grandfather died 5 years ago. I hope I don't get emotional when I talk about this.
That's
I
all
want to
right,
be.
man.
I'm one of those people that I don't get emotional. Like I'm actually rarely ever get emotional, but when I do, it like comes all out. Like ah. But anyway, I didn't keep it together. Um, so I think it was like 5 years ago. My grandpa died. My grandma died last week, and I had to get deep because this is relevant. And I was actually debating on whether I
Hmm.
want to talk about this for like this whole weekend, but I actually think it would be a crime not to, because I want to tell you guys about one of the last conversations, probably the last conversation I had with my grandma, which is unbelievably tragic. But I remember, and I don't want to dive too much into her personal and my family personal like details, but one of the things that sped up my grandma's decline is, I mean, it's hard to get them to go to the doctor. It's hard to get them to go to the hospital. And it's been something that's been going on for a while. And my mom would like drag my grandma to the hospital, because my grandma didn't like it, right? So one of the last conversations we had was before everything really, really went south, because it happened so fast, and that's what a lot of people who have elders, they will say the same thing. It just happened so fast. So we always have our family get-togethers, family hangouts. So I'm blessed that I always get the chance to hang out with my family, right? But I mean, I was talking to my grandma, and I remember me and my brother, and one of the last things we were talking about, I was trying to get her to like go to the hospital. We gotta get you taken care of, grandma, and she didn't want to go. And one of the reasons why I'm gonna shorten the conversation for her privacy's sake. But one thing that I have to share with you guys, one of the reasons why she said she didn't want to go is because of the cost. She said what I'm getting older. It's expensive. The out-of-pocket cost is costing my mom a lot of money. And this is something I want to get into, and I would love to get CJ's thoughts on this as well. When people ask why we have this intense, burning anger towards the establishment and towards capitalism, it's easy to be a commentator and have healthcare and be someone who is privileged and talk about politics looking from the outside in, right? And then there's a whole nother thing when it's someone like me and CJ who we lose family members because of capitalism, because our government, because the greedy politicians. And one thing that's pretty devastating that when you have stuff like this happen is the amount of people who are like just unbelievably shocked, devastated. We always ask questions like, well, how could this happen? Why this happened? And the curse of being well informed and knowing about these kind of things is I know exactly what happened. I know exactly what happened to my grandpa. I know exactly what happened to my grandma. So this is a problem that goes on. I like to call it, and I might write a piece about this: the eugenics of the poor. I always say I'm an anti-mandate, and they're like, "Oh my God, you against authoritarian? Are you pushing eugenics against the sickly people?" Like, no, I'm just anti-authoritarian, right? But the real eugenics that these same people they would never talk about this is the eugenics that capitalism is responsible for in our community. Because if you have healthcare, and this is why if you come from privilege, if you come from generational wealth, you will never understand. Like people, they think they understand when Tucker Carlson, who makes millions of dollars, like a year, he pretends he understands the struggle of the worker, right? You don't understand. He came from money. You will never understand the fact that people in our community and our elders, because they love us, they make extreme sacrifices in order to not bankrupt our family. So when my grandfather and my grandma decided not to go to hospital, that decision was made in order to save my mom and save our family money on medical costs. That is something that Henry Kissinger, that is something that John McCain, that John Lewis, that all these motherfuckers never had to worry about. If you and Henry Kissinger family, he's like 97. He lived 20. He's gonna be living 25 years longer than my grandpa, one of the biggest war criminals of all time. Living 25 years longer than my grandpa because he has health care, because he's a millionaire. Dick Cheney, heart goes out. I'm telling you, the same thing that happened to Dick Cheney happened to anyone in my family. The same thing happened to my grandpa. He would have died 20 years ago. When did that Dick Cheney heart transplant happen? It was like right. It was it during his vice president for 2 years afterwards. I forgot.
No, it was after. It was a few years after he. After
was that 15 years? So let's just say 15, just to keep it simple. So yeah, that my grandpa would die 15 years ago. That happened to him. But he's rich. He get gold-plated healthcare. He get boosted in the front line, so he get taken care of. Meanwhile, Black people, disenfranchised communities, and the poor people, we had to sacrifice our health for our budget. And they said this country is like land of the free. I guess it's free to die. The only freedom you have is to die to capitalism. Like either pay big pharma, go into medical debt, which Black people hold the highest percentage of medical debt by far out of anyone. Anyone, because we don't have the generational wealth to take care of our health. So it's either you sacrificing your life for your family financially, or you're bankrupting your family to extend your life. Pick your poison. Do you guys see the choices that we have to make? And you guys understand why I'm furious? Why I am furious when I can't get people to march for Medicare for all? Why I refuse? And people understand why I fucking refuse to vote for anyone who is against Medicare for all. You guys want people smear me and attack me because I refuse to vote for Joe Biden, who used his dead son as a political tool to attack Medicare for all. If not only will I will not ever vote for someone who don't support healthcare free at the point of service, I don't give a fuck what you call it. Free at the point of service. Medicare for all, single payer healthcare, nationalized healthcare system, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
You do not support that. You are my enemy. Not only will I won't vote for you, I will do everything I can, like I tried this last year, which I did in 2016, to get people to vote against you. The Green Party got a lot of imperfection, especially recently. But I made a point, and this is why I made a lot of enemies. I said my only goal is to get as many Black people, as many people that I can reach to not vote for Jim Crow Joe. And I think I did a goddamn good job at it. And I'm going to do it again this year. I'm going to do it
I'm with you on that.
Again, 2024. Everything that I can do to make sure these motherfuckers lose, I'm going to do it. Clip this. If you think I'm part of the Red Brown Alliance because I want Democrats to lose, go ahead. I admit it. Go ahead. I want these motherfuckers to lose. If you're against healthcare as a living right, I am your enemy. And these same people, and I'm getting fired up. But CJ, you can interrupt me anytime. I'll pass it to you here very soon because I told you this would be. I don't know where I was going with this, but the same people who want to smear and attack conservatives and people with bad opinions who march and show solidarity with me and my community for healthcare. I wrote an article, an op-ed, my second piece, where I explain how Medicare for all and healthcare is the most pro-Black policy that you can advocate for. Because even if we get reparations, which I believe we should get, and I believe we should fight for, I believe that the second most pro-Black policy. But the situation that is going on in my life, the fact that Black life expectancy had dropped over the last few years, the fact that Black people hold the most medical debt, the fact that we don't go to the doctors, which killed both my grandparents. This is why healthcare is the most pro-Black policy position. Period. So if you do not support Medicare for all, nationalized healthcare system, for healthcare at the point of service, free, my position is, and I say this with my chest, if you do not support that or you enable a party that is openly against that, you are anti-Black. You are the largest obstacle in our community, not the KKK, not the fucking Proud Boys.
Mhm.
It's you. It's Joe Biden, the Democratic Party, the Squad, Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, all these motherfuckers who is complicit with this healthcare system that is making $1,000 per second on the vaccine, but we can't get healthcare in the middle of a pandemic. You're my enemy. I want you guys. This is why they're gonna suppress this channel, because my goal is to get you guys out of this duopoly. Oh, I'm not doing this shit where I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna let you guys decide. Oh no, no, I'm telling you guys, leave the duopoly or you are anti-black, because both of them are against healthcare. Both of them are complicit with policies that killed my grandparents.
And I can speak to that, Nick. Similar to your story, for example, we didn't find out my dad had cancer. He had cancer for years before we had found. He knew, but he didn't want to tell us because he didn't want us to worry. It's that old school mentality, and he was an old school. Like my dad,
I didn't know what was going on with my grandpa too. Like almost the day he died.
Yeah,
then I was getting explanations like why things going so bad. And he was like, and then the main reason why I didn't know was because you just explained there, CJ. But go ahead, I want you to finish your story.
No, it's just imagine you grew up in an era that our grandparents grew up. Your grandma is probably around the age of my dad. So when he passed years ago, it was the same sort of situation. It was a terrible healthcare system, and he kind of chose not to go the chemo route. He didn't want to live like that, and he lived a long time just with it. But he could have lived longer if we had a better healthcare system. And he was wrapped up in Kaiser for years, and just Kaiser is just terrible, man. Kaiser's terrible. I mean, conflict of interest. You're the healthcare provider and you're the health insurance. Like it's so terrible. But I think, Nick, the broader point that you are speaking to, you're animating here, is that this is an openly anti-Black policy, not to extend healthcare to Black people. You can literally see. I'm a TV person. I used to be a TV writer, so I know shows is how I can tell stories. You literally can pull up Sanford and Son, and they're talking about the same issues, Nick, that we're talking about today. The same Black issues that we are talking about today. You can pull up Black television that is 60 years old talking about the same thing. And one of those things is healthcare. One of those things is Black people not going to the doctor because of healthcare. And there's a specific episode I'm talking about from Good Times where the dad had hypertension and he was going off and having all these, and he didn't know until he had a breakdown where he had to finally go. And he was like, he hadn't been to the doctor in years. He was like, because we can't afford it. What do you want us to do? We can't afford health care. We can't afford to be alive is basically what Black people are saying, Nick. We can't afford to be alive. Go ahead.
Every time someone in our community says that is a death fear of the system. So you got capitalists, you got right-wingers, these dummies, the people who don't read history. These people always say, oh my God, have you guys seen the death count of socialism? Oh my God, the 10 trillion people have died under socialism. It's always a fucking ridiculous number.
So unserious.
By the way, if you take even the craziest number that they come up with, take the highest number of when they were like, oh my God, the deaths under communism, which is mostly us sanctioning them. That's the death. Or the wars that we are complicit funding. We're gonna get into that today. We got a big story we're gonna talk about. We're gonna get into this kind of stuff. Right?
Right.
So what was I just saying? I lost my turn.
Don't worry. But let me put this super chat up. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, DL. This right here, Kaiser killed.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got it.
Go ahead.
I got it. I got distracted by the chat. I got distracted by the chat. So you have the damn, what the fuck? Sorry, I'm completely off. So you have damn, I was just talking about my damn, I just lost it again. What the hell?
Don't worry. This may jog your memory. The Kaiser, every time I bring up Kaiser, But no, just off this comment, Kaiser killed my niece Car. I'm gonna say Kar. Maybe it's Car. Um, she was 4. And
I finished my thought now. I don't know
go
why.
ahead.
So yeah, right wingers always feel wrong. Like, oh my god, the death over socialism. That's why I left off, right? But every
Yeah.
time a person dies because they can't get health care, that's a death via capitalism.
Right.
I don't know why I kept forgetting that. I'm fucking up tonight. So and this is something that people don't talk about. There's a large amount of people who die because they freeze to death every year because they go homeless. One of the most under-discussed things that people talk about. I did a whole segment discussing this, right? So every time someone goes homeless and freeze to death, that's a death via capitalism, right? So if you add all these things up, it's not even close. It's not even close. All the people that fearmonger socialism versus capitalism, the dev count socialism versus capitalism. And I want to share this if you don't mind, because this is my second article. Because this is very relevant to what we're discussing. Check this out. Because as I said before, Medicare for All is the most pro-black healthcare policy that you can advocate for. This is my second op-ed I wrote. The first op-ed that we talked about on the show before was how y'all reject Barack Obama, embrace MLK. I went to the scathing op-ed about the black leadership class and how they failed us. One, for example, Jim Clyburn take the most money from Big Pharma. You guys want to know why the situation in Black America and healthcare is so bad? Because the Black Congressional Caucus, they funnel money from Big Pharma. All the big names take Big Pharma money. Jim Clyburn, Hakeem Jeffries. What's the name of the lady that the right wing header? She on the financial committee.
Maxine Water from over here in Congress.
One of the most corrupt people.
She's terrible.
She's terrible. It's Maxine Water. I didn't get into that. That's a whole nother thing. It's like she literally take money from Wall Street, and she literally in charge of putting committees together to regulate them. And then she purposely put people who are weak on Wall Street on those panels. Katie Porter, isn't that right? So
that's her name, yeah.
I was about to do a diss track on her because people pretend that she's progressive, but she's not. She's trash. Actually, I'm gonna do it today. Actually, we're gonna do it today. Maybe I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna show you guys why Katie Porter is trash. And she will do these big like theater shows where she'll grill Wall Street executives like Elizabeth Warren style. And people are like, oh my God, this is amazing. She called out Wall Street, but then nothing will ever come from it. Nothing will ever come for these things, right? But even though the fact that Katie Porter is at best an Elizabeth Warren center left shit lib, she was considered too far left for Maxine Waters, and Maxine Waters pulled her from the financial committee because, and this is coming from her office, she didn't like how hard that Katie Porter was on a lot of the donors of Maxine Waters and donors of the Democratic Party. This is who our black leaders are. So my point is that my first op-ed, and CJ, feel free to jump in anytime. I'm just trying to illustrate my point because my point. No. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna kind of take it back to the original story because I did have a little more to say about this healthcare and how it's tied to the black community. Because I'm just thinking now, like who in my life now, like is where healthcare is a real need, because of the whatever ailment or in the stage of their life. That's my mom. So she's the one of my family members who has to use healthcare often. And she hasn't always been able to do that. Just luckily because of her age, because of whatever it's called when you turn 65, was it Medicaid? And then she has some retirement health insurance because she became a teacher late in life. So she's lucky, but I'm just trying to think of other extended family members, Nick, who don't have healthcare like this, who have ailments and they just don't go. They look on the internet. You know how many black people I talk to who just say I looked on the internet, Nick?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time. I couldn't tell you the last time I went to a doctor. Like why the fuck would I go to a doctor? Like, I just, whenever some shit happens, I look it up, and now I'm like, all right, I guess I'm gonna try to eat healthy really for like a few weeks.
Yeah.
Like I start resting. Like, bro, you go to the doctor. Cause you go to the doctor and they're like, all right, they just like, oh, you need to rest. We just give you some fucking pills
Right.
you don't like taking.
Right.
Like, no fucking point in
Because
going.
it's terrible. That's another thing. So it's twofold. It's twofold for
That's
Black
a whole
people. It's
conversation.
like we can't afford it, and then when you go, it is literally terrible. You go to the emergency room. Hey, I got a headache. Here's 2 aspirin. Here's a $1,500 bill. Like what the hell is going on? So it's 2 issues. Like it is too expensive. What they're charging for what they're doing is too expensive, and it's not like they're charging these high prices so workers can get paid more, Nick. You get what I'm saying? Like if you say, oh, okay, it's $1,500, but everybody here, including custodians, are all making $35 an hour, I'll be like, cool. I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But if you're just saying I'm $35 an hour, and then the janitor is working, 16-hour shifts, and you're barely paying him $14 in California minimum wage, $14 an hour, like no. So you get the point that I'm making, is that like I did never thought of it that way until you this article that
I'm gonna move
Medicare
on.
healthcare is the most pro-Black policy. That's my last comment on that.
So I didn't mean to cut you off. I mean I was gonna move on from that because I can do a whole segment talking about my issues with not only just the healthcare system, but like doctors are kind of a joke because they just sell products from big pharma. A lot of them have no idea what they're talking about. A lot of them have no idea about nutrition because it doesn't sell products for them to tell you like the healing properties of that food, like clean up your diet can do. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. I'm gonna actually skip that. Maybe I'll do that another time because I actually want to. We got a few stories we want to do, but I do want to read a few things. I'm not gonna go anywhere near reading the whole article, but there are a few passages where I think I get my thesis across pretty well. And this is my second ever article. So yeah, I'm proud of it. So you guys saw the Barack Obama MLK one. This is my second one. I got a few projects that I'm working on. Maybe I'm gonna link to the Substack in the description here later. But I'm gonna read just a few parts for you guys, right? That explain my position, and then we can move on I'll get your take, then we can move on for the next topic. So I said there are certain policy positions that are such a slam dunk that if someone does not support them, I can't take anything they say seriously, nor I can't trust their judgment. Medicare for all is one of those policies. Mm-hmm. It is the most pro-Black legislation in mainstream political discourse right now. Our Black leaders, such as Jim Clyburn, teaming up with health insurance companies and Big Pharma, are why the state of healthcare in the African American community is so bleak, as I laid out in my previous article. And that's me linking my MLK one. And this is why I call out liberals and Democrats, right? This paragraph here. Liberals, for good reason, hold social wedge issues as their primary litmus test. And I say for good reason, because I do think, like, if you hold, like, gay marriage as a litmus test, that's legit as hell. Mm-hmm. Like, if you hold abortion as a litmus test, that is legit as hell. I hold those are my litmus tests too. Mm-hmm. But can you imagine a standard liberal, like, can you imagine these Democrats? That's what I'm saying. Can you imagine a Democrat supporting someone who is openly against gay marriage, openly against abortion? Like, imagine if there was a Democrat that was like, yeah, I agree with Ron DeSantis on abortion rights. I actually think the issues of gay marriage should be left to the states. That's Republican code. So conservative judicial judges and people on the states can overturn those laws. So it just state right talking points that they use against Black people. They always use it, right? So they imagine someone use all these talking points, and then liberals are like, "Come on, man, we gotta vote for this person. You gotta vote blue no matter who, right?" People would be like, "You're out of your goddamn mind." But for some reason, and this is why you see the anti-Blackness out of progressives and out of liberals. When you talk about Black issues, when you talk about Jim Crow Joe, him signing on the crime bill, that's not a deal breaker. You guys see where I'm going here?
Yeah.
And I agree with the concept of having gay marriage and other fight for liberations as a deal maker, but I am consistent. To me, the fight for liberation for our community is part of that. If you support the crime bill, if you support the prison industrial complex, and I believe if you don't support Medicare for all, that's to me the same as me voting for someone who's against gay marriage. You guys understand that, right? That's why the concept of me voting for Jim Crow Joe was beyond absurd. Beyond absurd.
That's because you're intellectually consistent. You're intellectually consistent where you know some of the people that you're describing is not. But I mean, I keep going back to this point. But let me first. Oh, can you put that? No, put that back up there. I wanted to comment on what you had there, but I wanted to read.
They were the last passage I'm gonna read. So I'm gonna read it and I'll pass it to you, CJ.
It's a little small. Where it says where's underlined 31%. Can you read that part there?
Yeah. So I'm gonna present this part.
It's a little bit small to me. Yeah, I can't see it that good.
Yeah, I'll present it. So this is the last part I'll share, and then I don't have it in the description, but I can edit it in afterwards. But what has been the result of our leaders closing up to health insurance companies like Jim Clyburn, for example, Maxine Waters, for example? Black Americans suffer some of the worst health outcomes in this country. Despite being only 13% of the population, we hold 31% of the recurring medical debt. Black men have the lowest life expectancy, and it's not even close. Black women face intense racial bias in the healthcare field. I told you, all my op-eds are well researched. That's why it takes me a while to write them. I'm not gonna go on my links, but I'll back up everything I say. Every single thing I put here. Here I talk about the medical debt between Black Americans. Look at that, 31%. Look at this goddamn chart, guys. Share with past due medical debt. 1 out of 3 Black Americans. Right? But go ahead and tell me why we should vote for a party that doesn't support any medical debt. That is anti-Black. You progressive fucks. The same Sam Cedar types who want to smear us and smear people at the Medicare for All March as red, brown, and lines. You guys are marching with conservatives? You guys are having general strike summits with conservatives? You are weak on racial issues if you do that. This is what they really believe. Meanwhile, they work with Democrats that are for the healthcare system that is killing our people. Do you guys see why I get upset? Why I go insane? And I'm gonna finish
this is what. Go ahead. No, I was gonna say this is the reason why. One of the reasons why I go after the Democratic Party, because to me, the Democratic Party is openly anti-Black. They're openly anti-Black. They just call it something else. If you notice, they never do any piece of legislation that has anything to do with economics when it comes to involving Black people. They're always talking about, a holiday, some other thing. It's never any legislation about economics. I don't think that's just a happenstance. Like, how is it that we're at the bottom of every category? Either you're saying the system is the problem, or you're saying Black people are innate. This is who we are, to always be at the bottom. There's no in between, Nick. There's no in between. Either something is happening that's causing Black people, the Black community, to basically run in place, no movement in 30 years. I think, what was that? Black wealth went down, Nick. What was that number we looked at last week? Black wealth went down, and this is the party that's governing our Black wealth going down. Look at the cities. Who are these cities where these bloated I should say military budgets, but it's the police budgets, but they're police military budgets. Who's running these cities? Democrats are running these cities. Why aren't they putting together economic solutions? Why are you having crime round tables to figure out what we're gonna do with this crime, and you don't have an economic component to that strategy? It's to keep us here, Nick. It's to keep us here. It's to keep our family having to choose death over debt. Or if you want to be with your family, then you got to pay for that shit. Make them pay for it. That's basically what the system is telling Black people. You want to spend time with your family and your grandkids? You're paying for that shit. Either you are or they are. Like, this existence, and it's like Black people being at the bottom, like, we're done with this shit, man. Like, this is it. There's no more asking for this shit. Like, this is it. I'm like, we're going ham at these motherfuckers, especially the Democrats, pretending to help us. So
Especially
I'm on board with you, Nick. I'm on board with you. I want to campaign to get black people to stop voting Democratic. That's like what I want to do. We could do a freaking conference of that shit. Like,
you got
Dem exit summit. Like, get the fuck away from these people. They're terrible for black people. They are terrible for black people. I mean, for everybody, but we're speaking to black people because of what's happening to what happened to your grandma, your grandparents. And you don't even want to talk about my grandparents, because my grandparents, we're talking like sharecroppers, where they grew up, where they know about real slavery. Like, they can touch that time frame. You get what I'm saying? Because if my dad, just understand, my dad had me when he was 53. So just get that. He was 53. So understand what his parents were, and just understand that they didn't have health care either. It's generations, Nick, generation after generation, where our tradition is no health care, not going to the doctor, not getting checkups.
Where you guys seen those ghetto home remedies come from?
Yes.
You think we come up with these home remedies because we can see a doctor? We like, no, I don't want to go to the doctor. I got this other shit. We do that because we have no choice a lot of times. I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to do this trick that grandma passed down to us.
Right.
Or Uncle Bob told us, right? Like, this is the kind of shit that we had to do.
Yeah. And I just think it's terrible. And it's terrible. My uncle, this is just about the healthcare system, not necessarily insurance, for example. Got shot, drove himself to the hospital, Martin Luther King Hospital in LA, or maybe it's Compton. It's right on the border. Dies there. That's why it used to be called Killer King Hospital, because it was so terrible. You would go into the hospital of something you should not die of, and you would die. So when I was growing up, and I literally lived maybe 3-4 minutes from Killer King. I don't think they call it now. I'm so used to calling it that. From 3 minutes from Killer King, it's like on 117, 118. I live like near 107. And you go in literally. Oh, we can see you later. No, you're not going to see him later. You're not going to see him later. And be like, he died of that? So on top of not having the accessibility of healthcare, just the quality of healthcare, Nick, is terrible. And let me say this. They love to point to about, liberals. Obamacare, Medicaid, expanded Medicaid. That is true. You understand you have to be in a perpetual state of poverty to even qualify for Medicare. So you're saying that let's cheer the system that I have to be in a perpetual state of poverty to even qualify for. And then let's talk about the quality of service. It's terrible, Nick. Awful. Like, you would think you would go to a country, people would think it's poor, and the healthcare is better than that you see in some of these inner cities. Go ahead, Nick.
Speaking of quality of healthcare, and this is the last thing I'm gonna do, and then we're gonna get back to the main topics.
Yes.
But I just saw this. I really want to read this off because this is another reason why Medicare for All is an extremely pro-black position. And like many people, we all know people who went through like mental health episodes and mental health crisis. So I'm going to show you guys dispatches because people don't talk about mental health care is healthcare. Do you guys understand the massive impact of having, like, I have never been to a therapist my entire life. The concept is beyond foreign to me. Beyond foreign. But studies show it helps you. It'd be great if I had that opportunity, but could never afford it. It's ridiculously expensive. But anyway, let me dive into this part, and I'm going to get to their thoughts. I said one of the biggest failures of the healthcare system is how it deals with mental health. Mental health care is a privilege in America. Mm-hmm. I have literally never seen a therapist. I just told you guys because of the cost. It is the same for many Black Americans. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I'm thinking of people like in my immediate vicinity. Who the fuck goes to therapy? I see privileged people all over Twitter talk about therapy all the time. Like, what? How are you guys getting therapy? Like, we don't got this shit where I'm from. But anyway, that's a whole nother thing, right? And And a whole nother topic, I may cut this part short because I can do a whole another segment on this alone. As I explained here, mental health care for the Black community is so important, but not valued enough. We are more likely, and I'll link a study there, to experience mental health episodes, but are less likely to seek treatment or be diagnosed properly. See, there's a stigma in the African American community when it comes to seeking for mental health care. But even though I believe that it's going away with the newer, younger generation,
it is.
and that is 100%. That last part, that's going away with the younger generation. I'm glad. Like the Black boomers who I rip on all the time for a lot of good reasons, there was, deal with it, pussy. That was their mindset. My dad used to
that comes from capitalism. That comes from capitalism. We don't think, people don't think of that, but that sort of way of thinking, deal with it. That's just think about you in the fields, Nick. Oh, something happened. You cut yourself. You're bleeding. Get back in there. It's the same sort of concept. Like just deal with the pain. Just keep going. It's the same ingrained in us sort of concept. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up pretty quick. So I said the biggest obstacle is cost. So even I can do a whole segment, maybe on my solo segments, which I do on Saturday, which I'm growing to love. I may go into this more in detail because I can rant for like 2 hours, right? Because I can do a whole thing about healthcare. I'm 30. I've been through a lot, guys, and I learned exactly how important mental health was, especially during like going through the trauma of losing our matriarch, my grandma. Like I was literally having conversations with my mom. Like with my siblings, I was telling them like we gotta agree together, and I'm like telling them the importance of mental health. Like this stuff is extremely important. I realized this later in life, but that's a whole nother segment I'll probably do later, right?
No, this is good that we talk about this because I do have a comment to say about mental health. I don't have any research, but I completely think mental health is never really included into healthcare is because more people need mental health than they do healthcare, medical care, in my opinion. With the trauma of capitalism, can you imagine, Nick, the amount of people, if it wasn't no stigma that needs to go because of poverty, because you had to grow up in a shelter because you couldn't, that child, it was a video I posted, that's why I'm referring to, it's a video I posted of a child, the interview was like, yeah, I'm feel sad because I grew up in a shelter and all this, like that trauma. Like, so basically what I'm saying is there's so many people that need that type of care. And I think health insurance companies know that. And that's why they have such limited and high bars to get the health care. For example, when I had Kaiser, I had to go see one of their therapists just to get approved to go see an actual therapist. They have to see, are you really fucked up? Pretty much. They want to see, are you really fucked up to where you can sue us if we don't approve this? Almost. That's like anything that doesn't clear that bar, you ain't getting approved to see nobody. You'll just come see me once, and that's all you could see once a month. So if you have PTSD that needs to be treated all the time, good luck. Once a month, you would see them, and it's terrible, Nick. It's terrible, and I'm glad people are waking up to that. And this is absolutely needs to be something that's included. All care for you, for a person to maintain his health, is health care, mental health care, eye care, vision care, ear care, dental. This is all should be one thing, Nick, that all of us as Americans can go and get our care. Walk in anywhere to see an eye doctor, walk in anywhere to see a dental person, not reach in our pockets and get service and walk out. That's how it should be as Americans. Period. I think this is a good transition, Nick. Go ahead unless you had a last comment.
I'll wrap it up with this because I'll keep this real short. Mental health care, and there's a lot of great comments I've seen. I love the community. I love that you guys seem to value mental health care as well. Mental health care is the best preventive medicine because poor mental health, that leads to a spiral of poor decisions, poor health decisions, stress eating. You might indulge in more harmful drugs. Now, once again, I can do a whole string. I'm gonna cut this short here, but it spirals down to a whole pattern of behaviors. And I went down this as well. Like I gained a lot of weight when I was depressed. Like I know it's like I stopped working out. Like these are kind of things that you learn through life. And I learned that the reason why I got back into Muay Thai, not because I'm gonna be the next Roman Deckers, right? I don't think I'm gonna be the next Conor McGregor. I don't think I'm gonna be the next fucking Charles Oliveira. I don't think I'm gonna win a lightweight title. But I do it because it keeps me sane. I learned that keeps me sane, and people gotta learn that. And anyway, I'll end it there because we got so much we gotta cover.
This is a topic we do have to cover because the comments, Nick, are blowing up just from this topic. I did want to just address that.
Maybe we might do a mental health Q&A.
We do.
Maybe for like an hour. That's like.
But that last comment, I can't find it right now. But that last comment with the young lady saying crossing the border. Think about that. You're a child, and your parents are saying, "This is our chance at a better life existence," and you're running, and you're just think of that you have to go through that. The trauma of a child, and just think of the trauma of being caught and separated from your family. Like this is the comment right here. Yeah, it's just being poor crossing the border, and my mom and and some of them not even being with their parents going through that because of what capitalism is doing to their own country. Like capitalism just can't fuck up US. Oh, we just fuck this shit up. They gotta go everywhere and fuck shit up, Nick. Everywhere, like you gotta fuck up everybody's house. Just imagine this. This is what they do, Nick. You got your house, Nick. You go and hire people to tear down, demolish every other house on the block, and then why wouldn't those people gonna come to your house and be like, "Let us in," right? They're gonna be like, "You paid to have our house demolished. Of course, we're gonna come here." So anyway, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. Let's get back to topic. Yeah, we're gonna go off on a tangent because immigration is another thing that just pissed me off.
We got the whole segment on that. Like that, Dr. Cream would be a great person to have, and we kind of did a discussion on like the psychology of this and how it affects people, like the state violence that you see us advocate for. So maybe we need to get Zinkus, Kareem, with us talking about that. I think that'd be a great episode. But you want to do?
I told you I'm cooking up something with them, and the four of us can be on. But say that again. Did I have what?
You want to do the buying Ukraine? What you want to do? What story you want to do?
Yeah. I think people may be waiting for the AOC story. It might be shorter, so we can start with the AOC.
I want to give you guys around, so stay with us because that's the fun story. that's gonna be very, very fun. So stay with us because we're gonna cover the AOC story.
AOC took grassroots money and gave it to corporate Dems. Yeah. So that's the story.
That's since we're in the transition, I do want to plug this. I need to edit the description. I didn't do a chance to do it, but I really want to plug the Patreon, Revolutionary Blackout. You also see the sidebar here supports directly via Cash App or Venmo. But that's another great way to avoid like YouTube and Google taking a lot of our money. So direct donations is the best way to do it if you guys enjoying the show. If you guys want to see us grow, because I told you, like, you're gonna see election coverage on this channel unlike you have never seen on anyone. Like, and I already got a lot of stuff planned. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I got a lot of stuff planned for this year. Like I talked to Sabby Sabs, like we got a lot of interviews, like we got a lot of stuff planned for this year, and you're never gonna see election coverage this way because we're gonna cover it from a real Marxist point of view. And you never really get that. Like you never get it. So I'm looking forward to this year, and I hope that we can continue to grow. And if you guys want to share with friends, that help will beat the algorithm. That's how we got 13K. Super excited about that. Like
we hit 13K yet? We hit 13K yet? We're at 13K. I didn't even know.
Guys, we launched last April.
Man,
so
crazy.
Like, it's still like we're not gonna celebrate our 1 year anniversary until literally 2 months. 2 months from now. Like we still got a long time. So we only made that far because you guys were sharing and that kind of stuff. So we appreciate that as well, but we can start transitioning to the next topic.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, is that the right Patreon? Is it / do you know if that's correct? I put it in the scroll bar. You'll see it in just a second. I put I use the link. The RB. I didn't. I just typed. I figured it was the same name. Yeah, if it's incorrect, we will correct it. So we will correct it. Sorry about that. I don't know it off the top of my head, but let's transition to the next story. I think let's talk about the push for war, Nick. I think I'll let you start. Did you have something set up to start? This is something you cover, and that's the reason why I think it probably be best because you in it
can't
with
wait.
the international leftist coalition. I'm sorry,
Mm.
the international leftist coalition. You have to. There's so much with foreign policy that involves imperialism and war or conflict. So yeah, if you could start us out with this story.
Now you guys see why I cover foreign policy. I can't wait to talk about this because this story is going to be one of the biggest stories of this year. And now, isn't it funny how all the leftists who was raising the flag about the start of this new Cold War because of Russiagate and the ramping up of tensions? I still remember because I was one of the people that was like, bro, if you elect Joe Biden, hell, I remember in 2016, I was like, bro, there's no way Hillary Clinton, with her insane policies against Russia, like shooting down planes in the no-fly zone in Syria, that's insane. That's insane. And I know these neoliberal goons because they have complete complicity of the deep intelligent community and deep intelligent state. They can coordinate and start a new Cold War. And that's exactly what they were planning to do. That was very obvious. You guys know how I know this? I can go back and show you guys some old I told you so tweets and coverage. I'm going to spare you guys because you guys know I love to do that. But you guys remember when we covered Afghanistan and Biden pulling out of troops of Afghanistan, which, to be clear, Biden did not end the war in Afghanistan. He changed strategies. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna do a segment on the International Leftist Coalition about that. So I remember after that, I seen people like Kyle Kalinske. I seen a lot of TYT Sphere people. They was like, "Oh my god, you guys are not even gonna praise Biden for pulling out of Afghanistan? What will you guys give him credit on?" That's the argument that Kyle Kalinske made. Because people will get mad at Kyle because he was like going full Biden bro during the whole Afghanistan thing. And I remember because I was curious. I want to hear your explanation. Like, I want to hear you. And his explanation on why he did it, because he said if you don't praise these politicians when they do good things, they will never have incentive to do good things. Oh, sweet child. That was legitimately his reason for praising Biden for Afghanistan was literally because he thought if he praised Biden, that would make Biden more likely to do good things. This is what you hear from the TYT crowd. I heard this all the time. You have to get Obama props when you do good. You have to get Biden props when you do good. Because how will you incentivize them to do more? As if that's their incentive.
Yeah. How about you just do your job? No, just how about you do your job? How about having to have an incentive? I don't know. I just think that take is ridiculous. But I remember when the news came out, oh, Biden's pulling out, pulling out the war. You were one of the few that Biden is not stopping no war. Stop it. Like, stop it, guys. You was like, stop it, guys. I don't know if you got the receipts, but you got me as a witness because I remember.
Yeah, I think I shared a clip of me. I was talking to Max Blumenthal. I think I shared it on my show because it was like one of the videos of me reacting to one of my videos. And me and Max Blumenthal, I was really talking to him, and I was like, "You agree with me, right? This war is not ending." He's like, "Yeah, that makes because I define as an anti-imperialist, you're out. If you imposing sanctions, which is economic war, why would you say you're ending the war and you can make the argument?" And I would love to see a study done on this. Since my lifetime, you can easily make the argument that there's been more death and destruction by economic sanctions and Cold War than hot war. You can easily make the argument. Like, if you look at the countless people who've been starved to death in Yemen, in the Middle East, in Iraq, Iran, because of sanctions, because in the DPRK because of sanctions, and sanctions in Venezuela and the global South. And if this study is done, I honestly don't think the number will be close. If you look at the human death and destruction from hot war, bombs, destruction, versus economic war. Do you guys agree? If you guys disagree in the comments, I would love to hear it. I'm just speculating because I don't think the study has been done. So the point is, since economic war leads to all this death, massive destruction, why would you praise someone and claim someone is ending a war and a conflict when they are continuing to sanction the country? That did not make sense. So now you got Joe Biden and his administration that is refusing to release Afghanistan funds, which is leading to 23 million. About half of the population is they said food insecure. They're starving.
Yes,
now,
and my question to
you guys, what hot war recently had led to the starvation and the displacement of 23 million people. My point, I'm not saying hard war is not bad. My point is, if you're anti-war, if you're anti-imperialist, but you're weak on economic sanctions, you are not as anti-war and anti-imperialist as you think you are. Right? So I think I'll preface this enough. So another reason why I didn't praise them, because one thing I said when we covered Afghanistan was I asked you guys this question. If you're old school viewer, you may remember. If you knew, you may have to go back and watch it. But remember, I asked you guys this question: if Biden is really this anti-war president as he claimed, I remember he was on CNN, he was like, I'm ending the wars. Why, despite the fact that he ended a war that cost $300 million a day, Afghanistan, right? Why would he expand the military budget? I asked this question multiple times and never got an answer for any of the people who wanted to praise Biden for Afghanistan. Because logically, since Afghanistan was an extremely expensive war, if you're going to pull out Afghanistan, you must de facto decrease your military budget, right? So we said when we covered Afghanistan back then, I told you guys, don't praise Biden because he's just changing the strategy of the military-industrial complex. So instead of investing all the resources in Afghanistan, they're going to rely on covert drone strikes and financial war. And then they're going to put all the money to where? The Cold War. Now we get back to the topic, right? So now I want to get back to this, and I want to give CJ's response. Because we said when we did the segment, I told you guys they're going to end the war in Afghanistan, and they're going to ramp up the Cold War. I need to find that clip. There's another amazing moment where I was right, guys. I'm going to let you guys know. So anyway, let's share this. This is from Antony Blinken, the guy that was on Sesame Street this year. Then he was on Sesame Street a few years ago.
Ridiculous.
You guys want to know why I say America is the most
socializing our kids to war, socializing our kids to warmongers. Believe that?
Making war seem cuddly, making war and imperialism seem cuddly. So this is coming from Antony Blinken. So you said I spoke to Dana Bash today and reaffirmed that we have given Russia two paths. Diplomacy is the preferable path, but we are prepared either way. Guys, I don't think you even have to be well read to understand how fucking insane that last statement is. We are ready. Blinken is pretty much like, bro, nuclear war, down for whatever. Down for whatever. Nuclear war, down for whatever. Despite the fact that you have people, and we're going to get into this very soon, you have people in the Ukraine. There's like, U.S., what the fuck? We don't want you involved in this. And I'm talking about people on the ground. And I want to show you guys who the U.S. is supporting in Ukraine. And I'm going to show you guys what's coming from the liberals, because I want you guys to understand that these liberals are enemies that we need to face. Why do you always go after liberals, Nick? I'm going to show you guys here very soon. Why? Because I'm going to show you guys what their talking points that came from Russiagate. This was always what Russiagate was leading to. The expansion of the military budgets and this endless war. So I want to get CJ. Any thoughts before I continue presenting here?
No, what I want to get to, not get to. I don't want to spoil it, but not spoil it, but because people know the story is that Antony Blinken went on the weekend shows, and we got a couple of clips to show of that. I mean, the push is just blatant. The push to war. So I just want to, when we get to that, I'm just saying, I'm giving everybody a heads up. I do have some clips of his weekend visits around his PR team, otherwise known as corporate media.
That's gonna be interesting. So I guess I do my presentation, now pass it to you then. I guess we do it that way. I think that'd be a good clip. So this is what's happening right now, and I want you guys to understand how nefarious this is. And I told you guys to read history. If you haven't started, do it now. Do it now. One of the things that led me to being anti-establishment was reading history, because I saw how empires lead. And you see the endless war that is being plagued by empire to empire. Empires have fall, like Rome, for example, for overextending empire while allowing people in their home country to starve. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? So if you study history, you know exactly why Biden is doing this. And then you understand how nefarious this is. So I'm gonna ask you guys this question: what happens when you have a politician whose numbers tank? What happens when you have empires historically, Rome, France, when you have leaders who popularity tank? They start conflict. Because there's nothing to save the president more from tanking rating than uniting the populace against a common enemy. So do not get
9/11.
exactly. There's multiple reasons why they're doing that, and we're gonna explain this here through the segment. One, because they got to justify the military budgets. But trust me, and don't get twisted. The liberal bubble believe Russiagate is a winning issue. They think that's why they won 2020, and they think the American people are afraid of Putin and Russia. But so they are purposely trying to start World War fucking III in order to save Joe Biden. You got look at this insanity. Just then, Biden administration is writing up military orders to be sent to Eastern Europe. Imagine, okay, do you guys understand? There's a large segment, and now we're gonna break down why this is absolute ridiculous. And I may break it down in live form. I'm gonna show you guys a very cringe video, but I want to show you guys what's coming from the Democratic Party. But you guys know, if you ask Puerto Rico and ask a lot of Puerto Ricans, they don't want to be a U.S. territory. In fact, we don't even give them statehood because that would give them a lot of benefits.
Right.
So imagine, use your imagination here, decolonize your mind, throw out Western chauvinism. Imagine if Russia put troops and started arming radical, racist militias. And once again, I had to make up the scenario because it's not really a comparable scenario, right? Imagine there was like these radical Nazi racists who want to purge ethnic groups in Puerto Rico. Imagine if Russia was funding that group to separate from Western influence. That is what's happening in Ukraine.
Right.
You guys believe me? Look, you guys know what side that we are on in this war? Check this out. So I'm gonna show you guys this first, and then I'm gonna show you guys this other video, and then CJ is gonna do his presentation. You have shit libs losing their mind over this story. Damn it! I think I kind of spoiled it. Let's see if I find this other, because I want to show. In order
you want to do the build up first.
I'm gonna see if I find it, because I'm not sure if I saved it. I want to show you guys what's coming from these people. I'll just explain why I'm looking for it until I find it. Here it is. Look at this story. Look at this story. This is insane. This is coming from the shit libs. So I'll share this one first. Silence at God damn it. I'll just show the tweet, I guess. Silence at Putin's imperialism exposes basic hypocrisy of the woke left. They reserve their anger for empires of the past, not for the ones being built by Russia and China today. How many military budgets? How many military bases they have compared to the United States?
It's not even comparable. 1, 8, something like that. Something very small.
And you guys understand that NATO and the CIA are infiltrating the Ukraine despite Putin's warnings. And if you are pro-NATO and you're progressive, I don't even want to say you're deeply unserious. You are a clown. They are a war criminal at the highest order. They have waged economic war on the global South in the poorest countries.
Terrible.
For decades. So why would anyone cheerlead the expansion of NATO, which the United States wants? And also, what makes this crazy, you have a lot of you had like the United States German ambassador who resigned in protest of this move. You have people in Germany. The Germans don't support this. A lot of people in the EU, they don't even support the escalation that our state is doing against Russia. A lot of people in NATO, I should say. But he's saying, oh my God, if you're not anti-Ukraine, if you're not on the left, you're not rooting for the United States-led insurgency in Ukraine, you are a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. If we are not rooting for Ukraine, back CIA rebels, because I already spoiled it, right? Who's fighting the people against Putin in Ukraine? CIA-trained paramilitaries. So we took people, like we do in every country. CIA infiltrated Ukraine and led an anti-Putin movement. So who is part of this anti-Putin movement, you ask? So just like we financed jihadist terrorists We are funding neo-Nazi, racist extremists in the Ukraine. But go ahead and tell me how you're the anti-racist party.
Yeah, tell us how voting blue will save democracy.
Now, despite everything I told you, I'm gonna turn my earphones on here because I have to debunk this while we do this live. Right? Hold up, 1 second, because I want to show you this clip. Damn. Let me see. Let me see if I can turn this on. I'm gonna show you this clip that been passed around. It was shared by this big Democrat group. Oh damn, fuck it, whatever. I'm gonna show you guys this clip. This is horrific because this is a very important case study. Listen to what she says here, and I want you guys. And I'm gonna debunk it live. I'll debunk it live. So bear with me, guys. I'm gonna share this. This is insane, and I'm sharing this because this is gonna be a giant development. You guys are going to hear these talking points all the time. Very soon. Check this out. So the tweet reads, "This from Midas Touch. They are a big Democratic Party operatives, right? Their description says they got 720,000 followers. Like I'm on Twitter, so I'm familiar with them. They tweet the most shit-lib shit. They super big Democrat people. It said producing the best pro-democracy political ads. So when you mean by that, you mean pro-Democrat because Democrats are against third parties. They are overthrowing socialist government. They are one of the most anti-democratic forces in the world right now. Period. So they are a Democratic operative. So this is what they tweet out. I didn't know who she was. So this is who she is. Once again, she got about 4 times my platform, 5 times. I don't feel like doing the math. 260,000 followers. She's big on TikTok and YouTube. She's some shit lib. So Midas Touch, they tweet this out. This is the best explanation of Russia-Ukraine conflict you will hear all week. And this video is extremely fascinating because this is MSNBC brain in a nutshell. So I'm a nerd, so I find this extremely fascinating, and we're gonna debunk it live, and then I'll pass it to you, CJ. You can start presenting, but let me mute, and then we can go into it.
Okay, so I'm not an international expert, and I don't pretend to be, but I'm going to try in broad strokes what's going on right now with the Ukraine, Russia, and America. Backstory. Putin was enraged when anti-corruption, pro-democracy demonstrations led to the overthrow of the Ukrainian government in 2014. Like I explained in far more detail on the Politics Girl podcast,
the CIA funded extremists that she called them pro-democracy rebels. So she said earlier how I'm not well versed on foreign affairs. So I want you to understand she got all her information reading New York Times and Washington Post and MSNBC. And so listen to the horrific conclusions and what her point of view. And when you watch this video, I want you to analyze her worldview as a whole and what she thinks the role of the United States is in the world, period. And to me, as you watch this video, at least when I watched the video, I was horrified. So I'm going to let it continue a little bit longer.
Rise of Autocracy, if you want to check it out. Democracy is contagious. And if Ukrainians could get rid of their corrupt dictator, what would stop the Russian people from doing the same? It's one of the reasons Putin is so hell-bent on putting the Ukraine back in its place. Not only will it dissuade other countries around him from getting pro-democracy ideas, but if he does it, and America, NATO, and the EU just let it happen, it'll prove on the world stage that these Western nations and democracy itself no longer wield the power they once did.
I told you I had to stop this a few times because you got to see how she's painting us as the pro-democracy West, despite the fact that I explained to you guys. And you have elections in Nicaragua and Honduras where you had the U.S. State Department openly saying that if you guys don't vote the way that we want you to, we will put sanctions on your country. That's still mail-in democracy. They take third parties off the ballot, but then they want to pretend Putin is tyrant, that threat to a democracy, that other people see us as the beacon of democracy. You see how the liberal, once again, she's the liberal. She's the white liberal that's supposed to be our ally. But you see how it's so American-centric, her view? I'm going to let it continue.
I think it the American view is really the white supremacy male view. Is that we're doing bad because of justice, but other people are doing bad because they're bad. Right? So you gave the analogy that, if Russia was doing the same sort of thing to us, where, it was a neighbor or Puerto Rico, we would be upset too. But for this lady, I think she's a plant, by the way. I think she's a plant. She's a total plant. But for this lady to preface, I'm not an expert, and then proceed to do a CIA slideshow pretty much without the slideshow, like talking point after talking point, like as if she's reading it, as if she's the op. She knows the terminology, right? And the concepts of behind their thinking. White America and as an extension, just America, really have been talked into, Nick, that people hate us because we just want freedom. They really believe that. It is so bizarre. They really believe people are in another country going, they're free over there, let's go bomb them. That's what they think. That people are like that. It's the concept of, like, you're born evil, like nothing happened to you, none of the backstory, like any of the wrongdoing that the United States did, that's the past. Why are you still mad at that? Anything done, any sort of wrongdoing done to people indigenous, to people of color, anyone who's non-white, it's a casualty. It's not a big deal. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, that's such a great point, CJ. You notice whenever they talk about the geopolitical issues, they never explain Russia or anyone's point of view, even if you disagree with it or not. Because Putin has warned the West about NATO influence into Ukraine. So now they're and I explained and I showed how the United States is funding CIA operations, NATO is funding operation to have this extremist group that is supposed to be against Russia, pro-capitalist U.S. puppet state. And now you see how it's pure projection. How this, oh my God, Putin hates this idea of Ukraine fighting for democracy, which is code for being a U.S. puppet state. But do you guys know what the Monroe Doctrine is? The Monroe Doctrine was used to justify Operation Condor and the war waged against the global South, because the Monroe Doctrine was the idea that you cannot have any communist or socialist or anti-capitalist countries in our backyard of the Western Hemisphere. So the Ukraine, which has long been part of Russia and the Soviet Union, that goes back for centuries. Centuries, the Ukraine has been part of the Soviet Union. So then you have this NATO, which is hostile to your political interests, that they finance rebel groups that go against you. And then these rebel groups, they want to purge ethnic groups into Ukraine, by the way. So the people
that means kill people of the indigenous and people of color. When you say cleanse ethnic groups,
yeah, I have some receipts, but I didn't have it prepared. But I can dig them up.
No, I mean, but what the terminology cleanse ethnic groups, you're meaning like they're killing them over there.
Yeah, they want Ukraine to be like an ethno state. So this is some more. I'm trying to find exactly my source on this, but this is some more. I didn't have none of these things, but I saw these on my timeline. These are what liberals are fighting for. These are the group. This is the group that they're fighting for. I don't know what this. Do you guys know what this symbol is? I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know what that one is.
It's akin to a swastika. I've seen it before.
Yeah, I assume, right? But this is the CIA. And this tweet is brilliant because it said this is what liberals are fighting for. And I want to go back to
pro-democracy. That's the pro-democracy group there she's referring to.
So I want to go back to the video because we didn't even get close to finishing it. Now I'm not going to stop it because I have a hard time watching these videos. I'm going to try not to stop it unless it's something that's insane. But let's get back to the video. I got to turn the audio on. So we shown all this stuff, right? So now watch this crazy liberal lady. Thank you for the super chat. I guess I'll read this one. Thank you for the $5. The U.S. vetoed a UN resolution twice in 18 to 20 to condemn Nazism. Wow. What? I didn't know that. Thank you. You just taught me something new. The U.S. They vetoed a UN resolution twice in 18 and 20 to condemn Nazism. And Russia was like, nah, fuck this. But bro, this is so. I didn't know that because the liberal. Now my mind is racing because the liberal mind talk. What the liberals say against Putin is we have to be pro-war to resist Putin because Putin and the Russians are mirror to Donald Trump. This is the arguments the reason why I watch their arguments because it's important to know them. So they say we have to fight Russia because if you see the scourge of Trumpism and the racism, Putin, they pretty much support that in Russia, despite the fact they give their people healthcare. They give their ethnic minorities healthcare. We don't give black people healthcare in this country. By the way, anyway, and despite the fact that Russia voted to condemn Nazism and the U.S. didn't, that shatters that narrative. Thank you for the super chat. That's a great. I didn't know that. Thank you, man. Thank you. Oh yeah, let's finish this shit lift video, which is now that you guys have all the background, and if you guys have any more comments that can help debunk the Ukraine narrative, I've been doing my best reading about it, getting caught up. I always can learn more, as you guys can see. Hopefully, I did a decent job presenting, but we always love learning from you guys. So, but let me finish the clip. Let's finish this.
In 2014. Like I explained in far more detail on the Politics Girl podcast, Rise of Hypocrisy, if you want to check it out, democracy is contagious. And if Ukrainians could get rid of their corrupt dictator, what would stop the Russian people from doing the same? It's one of the reasons Putin is so hell-bent on putting the Ukraine back in its place. Not only will it dissuade other countries around him from getting pro-democracy ideas, but if he does it, and America, NATO, and the EU just let it happen, it'll prove on the world stage that these Western nations and democracy itself no longer wield the power they once did. That in this new century, no one can really stop him and his allies from taking and doing what they want. And believe me, other nations will be watching. Nations like China who would be very happy to do the same with Taiwan. If Russia can just take over a country and install a pro-Russian leader in the Ukraine, that's kind of a go-ahead for other nations' ambitions. So the US is in a precarious position.
That's literally what we do. What she's explaining, what she's trying to say, what we're dissuading is what we do. That's all I'm gonna say. That is insane what she just said there.
It's so hard to watch. It's so hard to watch the propaganda. Just terrible.
A war with Russia. There's no appetite in this country for war. We are already a divided nation. And with Republicans behaving the way they are, with Trump and people like Tucker Carlson and Madison Cawthorn, and the Republican senators who spent July 4th in Moscow being so overtly pro-Russia, we can't unite the country against a common enemy if half of the country is rooting for the enemy.
There she openly admit what I just explained earlier. Remember what I just explained earlier? They want to unite the country against a common foe because Joe Biden numbers is in the toilet. And her argument is if we don't support the neo-Nazis in Ukraine, if we don't support NATO, which is one of the biggest fucking criminal organizations ever, if we don't support this, we are anti-democracy according to her. You guys, and then by the way, you see how, and she 100% plant CJ. She used the Taiwan anti-China shit.
Right.
That's the equivalent of saying that we should just allow, and this is what America don't allow, Puerto Rico to be a sovereign country.
Right.
Like that's much more a comparison, right? But anyway, there's so much horribleness here. Anything you want to add, CJ, before I go back to it?
No, I'm just I do want to say that she did shout out like a podcast or something like that she either heard or is on. So and the way she speaks,
she has a giant platform.
She has to be something. But just imagine that propagandist is influencing how many hundreds of thousands of people with that level of I mean, I don't know if it's because I'm so immersed in it. But when I'm watching propaganda, it's so flimsy to me that I'm thinking like, who is believing this nonsense? But people are believing it. People are believing it.
She's on TikTok apparently. I just saw this video. I looked into her. I was like, what? Who is
she's
it?
on TikTok? Yeah, she's completely. She's there. She's there to give that narrative to that crowd. That's who she's there for.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
terrible.
One thing I'm gonna go back to the video. I'm gonna go back so you guys don't miss context as well. And I'm gonna show this part again because you guys may have missed it, but I found this part very interesting. And once again, more as a nerd, I'm analyzing her psyche. Like this is how the liberals think because Midas Touch is one of the big. I show you guys this for a reason. They're one of the biggest pro-Democrat accounts, and they said on the preface of this tweet, this is what they said. This is one of the best explanations of the Russia-Ukraine conflict you will hear all week. This is coming straight from the Democrats. And look at their following. This is like 4 times my following, guys.
Does it say what she is? Did she tell
she's
what
a political junkie who believes in truth, facts, and the American experiment.
That just sounds so propagandish. That's
terrifying.
That is not. That's and people follow her. People follow her. You like she's just a regular person saying this stuff like this. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
She believes in the American experiment.
Yeah, right, Nick. You were gonna go back to that video, or you want me to pull up the video I was gonna show?
This is literally her admitting that she believes in Western chauvinism. And you guys wonder why I say liberals are dangerous? This is why I'm anti. I watch and I analyze their politics, so I know what I'm against. People who still think these people are less two evils, they're not watching these videos. So one thing I want to show with you guys, I'm gonna rewind a little bit. This is very interesting. Most people probably wouldn't think of it. She says the American people don't have an appetite for war. And and maybe I'm wrong here, but listen to the context in which she says it. She says it like it's a bad thing. It almost like it's a nuisance. Yeah, you Americans.
Yeah, like look at all this bad stuff they're doing. We should go to war, but Americans don't have an appetite for it. So like they're in the way, like we're an obstacle.
So I'm asking you guys, am I being too picky on her on this? Cause I'm gonna show you guys a part, because I immediately the way her tone and the way she said it is extremely telling to me. So I'm gonna let it play. I'll rewind it a little bit for context, and I'm gonna let it play a little bit.
Other countries around him from getting pro-democracy ideas, but if he does it, and America, NATO, and the EU just let it happen, it'll prove on the world stage that these Western nations and democracy itself no longer wield the power they once did. That in this new century, no one can really stop him and his allies from taking and doing what they want. And believe me, other nations will be watching. Nations like China, who would be very happy to do the same with Taiwan. If Russia can just take over a country and install a pro-Russian leader in the Ukraine, that's kind of a go-ahead for other nations' ambitions. So the US is in a precarious position. We can't instigate a war with Russia. There's no appetite in this country for war.
That's a precarious position. I'm sorry, I'm not cutting it off, but I think this is important analysis. But you see, why the U.S. Why the fuck should we be? And this is something that I want you guys to know. There is no geopolitical advantage unless being in Ukraine. Now, even if you're a neocon, there's no economic advantage. There's no positional advantage. This is literally just to funnel and justify the wages of the military-industrial complex and shape the new Cold War. There's not even neocon justification, because even the neocons say, "Oh, we got to occupy the Middle East for the oil." We're not even there for Ukraine for that. It's literally just to fuck with Russia and to provoke war. But listen, what she said: the U.S. is in a precarious position because the Americans don't have appetite for war. Boo! Why the Americans, they just don't want to go to war no more. I'm gonna rewind it again. But you see that part? Am I wrong on that? I'm asking the chat. Go ahead, CJ. I'm trying to see if you think I'm wrong. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like it's a damper. It's like we putting a damper on her parade. Oh, the American people, they don't have an appetite for it. You know what I mean? It's not like, and the American people is not gonna stand for this nonsense. You know, it's like they don't have an appetite for it. So absolutely, she is true. But this is propaganda. This is the kind of stuff that I watch and I study. It's each word is carefully picked. Everything is carefully picked, and it's based on psychology. That's what people don't understand. It's based on psychology, how she's telling you the story. Pro-democracy fighters. How can you be against pro-democracy fighters? How can you be against that? You can't in this world of propaganda. So you label them pro-democracy fighters, even though they're like Nazis. You showed that. So
let's try to finish it. You guys see how hard it is, right? But I wanted to bring up those analysis before I forget, because I will forget. We watched the whole damn clip. So let's continue and let's see how far we can get to it. I think based on the comments, it seemed like you guys enjoying this. So I'm gonna go back to the clip, and then I know I'm going long, CJ, but I'm almost done, and you can present your part of this. And
Yeah,
then we
no
go
worries.
a few
We
more
only have
stories.
the one story. Probably just end with the AOC story. Probably.
Yeah. So I'm
Everybody's
gonna go
waiting
back.
for.
So watch this part again. That was that. There's no appetite in this country for war. Once again, I'm just analyzing her psyche. This is the liberal psyche. This is what. Woe is us. We can't wage war more. Anyway, let's see if you guys can hear it again. I heard it. I keep hearing it.
We can't instigate a war with Russia. There's no appetite in this country.
Hold up. Sorry, I got mute.
But look at yeah, we're gonna analyze. Look where she says that after what she says. The part now you can play it. I know you can't speak now, but when you play it, listen to what she says right before that.
Kind of a go-ahead for other nations' ambitions. So the US is in a precarious position. We can't instigate a war with Russia. There's no appetite in this country for war. We are already a divided nation. And with Republicans behaving the way they are, with Trump and people like Tucker Carlson and Madison Cawthorn, and the Republican senators who spent July 4th in Moscow being so overtly pro-Russia, we can't unite the country against a common enemy if...
I mean, she threw
sorry,
everybody
guys.
there. Tucker Carlson, she threw Fox in there. She threw Trump in there.
Yeah.
She just throwing the whole. Go ahead. She throwing everything in there. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys. I keep interrupting it, but it's hard. So I want you guys to realize this. She's saying that Trump and the Republicans are pro-Russian. We covered this many times on the show, but you guys understand that Trump armed the Ukrainian rebels that she supports. Barack Obama didn't do that. Barack Obama didn't do this, and their State Department explained they think arming Ukrainian rebels will be too much of an escalation against Russia. So Donald Trump did an action that was even more hawkish on Russia than Barack Obama, because he had to prove the Russiagate narrative wrong. But meanwhile, she's pretending, and also Donald Trump gave CIA the authority, and I'm gonna show you guys the receipt. He gave the CIA the authority to wage cyber warfare and hack financial institutions in Russia. The pro-Russian party, as she says, gave the CIA ability to hack the... Once again, Barack Obama didn't go that far. Even he didn't do that. Donald Trump was one of the most anti-Russian presidents since Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, listen to what she says. And now I'm gonna go back to... I had to chime in there because everything she says in this video is so wrong.
It's so much. That's why you got to keep stop. It's so much in the video, Nick. Like I was saying, it's so feel. That's why I'm saying she's not a regular. I'm just a person who's talking. That is so jam-packed with so much propaganda. She is being paid by somebody.
And TJ, she not... I don't read that much about foreign policy. I'm not real. Remember how she's in the beginning? She's trying to make it seem like she's an average person. This is how the average person thinks about these issues. I don't really think about foreign policy that much, but I naturally come to the conclusion that we must support NATO. What the fuck?
Right.
And I asked you guys in the chat, do you guys think she wrote that? I actually don't know. Like, did she actually write that, or did someone wrote it for her? Because I don't think she's really could do that now. Like, that's a Mike Pompeo, like CIA intelligence official on MSNBC. That is what they... And I'm offended though, because I might rewind it even more. This is exactly what you hear from like a CIA analyst on MSNBC. I'm not even sure she wrote it. I tossed this out of my head. Maybe she did. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's not that important, but I don't know, because this is so on the money. Everything she said. And once again, we only halfway through the video. You guys really want to make that way through. I'm gonna try to let it play this time, but unless I see
let it play this time. She has so much stuff, but let's let it play. Just let it play.
We can burn enough. I'll let it play the whole 2 minutes. I'm gonna start over. From the beginning, and we just play. She's a female Brooklyn dad. That's a funny ass comment. She's exactly like Brooklyn dad. That's a funny.
I was gonna say that. I was waiting for you to finish so I can say. It seems like she's like Brooklyn. I was literally gonna say that same thing.
All right, I apologize.
But let's play the whole thing.
Yeah,
We promised, Nick. We promised the whole time.
And then we do one final analysis on, then we move on to the next story. Oh, our CJ part.
Okay, so I'm not an international expert, and I don't pretend to be, but I'm going to try in broad strokes what's going on right now with the Ukraine, Russia, and America. Backstory. Putin was enraged when anti-corruption, pro-democracy demonstrations led to the
Nick, started over. You're not muted.
Oh, damn, my bad.
Yeah, you're not muted. Yeah, so start over. You're not muted.
An international expert. and I don't pretend to be, but I'm going to try in broad strokes what's going on right now with the Ukraine, Russia, and America. Backstory. Putin was enraged when anti-corruption, pro-democracy demonstrations led to the overthrow of the Ukrainian government in 2014. Like I explained in far more detail on the Politics Girl podcast, Rise of Hypocrisy, if you want to check it out, democracy is contagious. And if Ukrainians could get rid of their corrupt dictator, what would stop the Russian people from doing the same? It's one of the reasons Putin is so hell-bent on putting the Ukraine back in its place. Not only will it dissuade other countries around him from getting pro-democracy ideas, but if he does it, and America, NATO, and the EU just let it happen, it'll prove on the world stage that these Western nations and democracy itself no longer wield the power they once did. That in this new century, no one can really stop him and his allies from taking and doing what they want. And believe me, other nations will be watching. Nations like China, who would be very happy to do the same with Taiwan. If Russia can just take over a country and install a pro-Russian leader in the Ukraine, that's kind of a go-ahead for other nations' ambitions. So the US is in a precarious position. We can't instigate a war with Russia. There's no appetite in this country for war. We are already a divided nation. And with Republicans behaving the way they are, with Trump and people like Tucker Carlson and Madison Cawthorn, and the Republican senators who spent July 4th in Moscow being so overtly pro-Russia, we can't unite the country against a common enemy if half of the country is rooting for the enemy. So our Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is trying to use diplomacy and give Putin an out to encourage him to hold off invading the Ukraine. The West has threatened sanctions with profound economic effects if Russia does invade. It has armed the Ukraine with weapons and helicopters to defend themselves, and America is in discussions with a number of countries about stepping up production of gas to our European allies, who are deeply worried that if Russia invades, there's going to be a massive gas shortage because Russia provides Europe with 40% of its gas supply. There are people in America, namely Republicans, calling for us to implement the sanctions now, to take the first shot, thinking that it will show strength. But as Blinken said, sanctions are to deter Russian aggression. If you trigger them before they are aggressive, you lose the deterrent effect. It's like grounding your kid before he has the party. You have to threaten the grounding and hope he doesn't have the party. Also, this idea that the party who is so pro-Russia is telling us to be the aggressors begs the question of whose side they're on. If we do something before they do something, then we're the bad guys. What we're doing now is hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst, expecting Russia to be aggressive without starting the conflict ourselves, which I believe is the most prudent step at this time. Does that make sense?
She can give a class in propaganda.
Bro,
She could literally give a class in propaganda. That was terrible.
You guys know how hard it was not to stop that shit, guys. Do you guys catch the contradiction there?
Mm-hmm.
She is so wrapped up in propaganda, and she is so in the game. She didn't even catch it. Remember what she said early on? She named all the Republicans and said the Republicans are pro-Russian, and then literally within 2 minutes, she was like, "The Republicans are pro-Russian. They want the Ukraine to be taken over." By the way, also the Russians believe that we should have put sanctions on right now, and that we should have grounds on the troops. And they're saying this because they actually are pro-Russian. They want us to be hard on Russia because they're pro-Russia. What?
Not making sense.
Not
making sense.
I want to show that part again because she was like, Russia wants us to put sanctions. They want us to go hard on Putin because they're pro-Russia, because they know the strategy will fail. What? That's just contradicting. You just contradicted yourself. She said Republicans are weak on Russia, but they also want us to be stronger on Russia. But anyway, also, I want to break down this. I had to write this down because I had to stop myself. She explains the whole gas situation, which is the key to understanding why we are opposing Russia and the economic war we are waging on them. Another thing that showed how Russiagate was bullshit from day one was that Germany was trying to get a pipeline, a Russian pipeline deal, oil pipeline deal with Russia, and Russia about to sign this deal with Germany. So that's why a lot of people in Germany are actually against the U.S. escalating with the Ukraine, because the gas deal with Russia benefits Germany. So Germany's trying to get this deal with Russia with their gas. So Donald Trump did something else that Barack Obama didn't do again. He put sanctions and was interrupting negotiations between the Germans and the Russians on the pipeline. So a lot of people in Germany are super pissed at Biden for going against Ukraine. So did she explain this in her video? Did they explain this on MSNBC?
Nope.
I got this from the Gray Zone. You got to literally get this shit from independent media. They would, whenever you hear MSNBC explain their position, they will never talk about the pipeline and how one of the reasons why we're pushing against Ukraine and why we want to get NATO in there is to cut off Russia financially, because we don't want them to get that pipeline deal with Germany, because that will mean a boon in economics for Russia. So we want to sanction and we want to starve Russia so they can have an uprising against Putin. Do you guys understand the game? This is the strategy we use. We want to starve the ordinary Russian people. This is not going to hurt Putin. Putin is one of the richest men in human history. Excuse me. He sees assets in a lot of nefarious ways. We're not pro Putin, obviously, but he did a lot of shady shit to get his wealth. So when you guys see these Russian statements, do you think it's hurting Putin? Do you think it's hurting his quality of life? This is hurting the average Russian people, because the strategy, as laid out by the U.S. Defense Department, is to starve the country, then have them uprise against the leader. And she admits this in the Midas touch. Remember when she was talking about how, remember, democracy infectious. If we support this uprising in Ukraine, we have the Russian people uprise over Putin. This is what she said. They admit this. Mm-hmm. The delusion, by the way, that somehow Putin is unpopular is absurd. Putin is extremely popular in Russia, by the way. The idea that he would have an uprising, the only way you would do that is what? If you starve the people to the point where they're desperate. Right. That's the United States plan. That's why they get the oil pipeline. That's why NATO want to get in there and disrupt the finance situation in Ukraine. Right? So that's we can get to the next segment. I hope you guys understand the craziness that she's repeating. This is coming from the neoliberal consensus.
Yeah, that was complete propaganda, in my opinion. And like I said, I absolutely think she's like another Brooklyn dad. But there's a couple of comments she said there I thought was very telling. And how it reflects American ideology, reflects white supremacy. The idea that her analogy, Nick, that she used to describe a sovereign country was your child being grounded. Russia is not our children. But the idea that that's how you conceptualize, how you think about the relationship, this conflict, as if America is the daddy of everybody. Imperialism. Can you say imperialism? That we're going to show that we're weak. That's how imperialists talk. Why is the United States worried about if another country thinks that we're weak? What does that do for us? It doesn't do anything. But I do, with the same story, I do want to give a couple of like back end videos just to kind of wrap up this story, Nick. And this first video I will show you. Oops. First video here. I will show
let me do the
you.
AOC statement. That should be fun. We can wrap up with the AOC segment and super chats.
Yeah. We'll. You guys
have questions? Leave us some questions in super chats, and we can probably do the last segment covering super chats and comments that we missed.
Absolutely. All right. So this video here, I'm going to show you 3 videos. This first video here, it's kind of giving 3 different perspectives on the same story. And this one here, let's just play it.
Blinken has arrived in Kiev today to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky, move on to Berlin, and then meet Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Geneva on Friday. The hastily arranged trip aims to show US support for Ukraine and impress on Russia the need for de-escalation. The US has not concluded whether Putin plans to invade or whether the show of force is intended to squeeze security concessions without an actual conflict. Russia has brushed off calls to withdraw its troops by saying it has a right to deploy its forces wherever it likes on its own territory. Blinken's meetings follow inconclusive diplomatic talks between Moscow and the West in Europe last week that failed to resolve stark disagreements over Ukraine and other security matters.
You notice what's missing in that story? Some sort of, like, it's so toned down from the rhetoric of Russia is going to be invading and they're doing this. You're going to, like, there's some sort of like an emergency that's happening that you hear in our media, Nick. So I want the audience to kind of see the difference in the media coverage. So now let me go to another video. Now, this video. Oh, hang on a second. Let me make sure I have it queued up. Yeah, I do. So this video kind of gives Russia's point of view from all of this, which you don't see. So now we're going to see from their point of view what this conflict is about. So let me share. I got it queued up now. Let's share this one. I think it's Jeremy's song. Is it? Yeah. Okay, so I don't know who this person put it out, so I'm not gonna, credit him here because I don't know if it's a conservative, maybe. But Biden says Russia will pay heavy price if any forces move across the border into Ukraine after early suggesting Western allies might struggle. Now, if you notice, they keep saying heavy price, without saying any sort of force. This could be about the sanctions, Nick, that you were mentioning. Heavy price, which is sanctions. So let's hear from their point of view.
The US saying there is still a diplomatic route. If there is one, what is it?
Well, it's very unclear, and I wish I had the answer for that question. But of course, we know that there's a meeting between Antony Blinken and Sergei Lavrov that will happen in about 2 hours. The idea here that keeps being repeated by the U.S. administration is that Russia has to de-escalate, and then there will be a diplomatic path forward. It is interesting, however, that overnight we had a number of documents from the U.S. government saying we want to make it very clear here in the situation, Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine is just trying to survive. And they also say Russia has been engaging in major disinformation over the past few weeks when it comes to Ukraine. Now, of course, when you look at what is happening here, this is a very tricky situation. It's at a deadlock. But essentially what you have right now is Russia saying we want something on paper that tells us and guarantees that Ukraine will never join NATO. We know that the West.
You hear that? Bringing up the NATO, that they're never going to join NATO. So let's finish the story.
Is not going to concede on that. And of course, when you look at the demands that are being put forward by Western allies, they want to see those troops being pulled back. The problem for Vladimir Putin, of course, is that that would look like a defeat. So the way forward here looks very unclear. And I have to say, speaking to some of the Russian press here, Francine, it's always interesting to see their perspective. And they say they're not expecting a lot out of this.
Yeah, and Maria, I wonder whether the real question is whether the West just bundled it up because Putin does not feel threatened by NATO and it does not feel threatened by the West.
Yeah, and that could be one of the issues here, that at this point he believes that the United States is not going to go to war over Ukraine. The Europeans are not ready to do that. They have an energy crisis that is happening at this point. The Nord Stream pipeline is still very much weighing into all of this. And of course, we know that European security is still very early days. When it comes to NATO, you could also argue they're not going to go into a major war when it comes to Russia. The battle here is being played on the economic front. And that is essentially the question that Vladimir Putin will have to answer.
So, Nick, I just wanted to play that last part there. We don't have to play the full, but she mentions all the things we're talking about, the economic sanctions. She even mentions the pipeline that you brought up, all of this. But the way it's framed, the way American media has to frame it is that it's some sort of conflict, some sort of attack on democracy. So we have to come in and save, instead of talking about it as this is a business decision that we want to do. We're trying to stop or prevent this so that they're able, whatever the case may be, it's because Americans are not going to be for that. That's why they have to come up with all this made up stories added on and embellish it like this other propagandist we just showed. But go ahead, Nick, your comments.
What made me the most is just the pure projection. Everything they accusing Russia to do, we do on. I think the last study showed that we got involved in like 200 plus elections since the foundation of the CIA. Everything they just accused Putin of doing, we do times Like we openly did in Nicaragua and Honduras. Those are the most recent examples. That's why I keep bringing those up. I just had Pasta on my Saturday show. We was talking about it. Like they was openly influencing that election, and as someone mentioned before, Putin sent out a warning to the West to stop influencing and getting involved in the Ukraine. And I just want to the last thing I'll show, and then we move on to the next segment, just backing up some things I said earlier. So this happened under Trump. And when you follow this stuff like I do, when you're a political nerd, this society is horrible. But Trump defies Putin. Trump defies Putin. Do you ever hear this on MSNBC? Hell, did you hear this on TYT? Sam Cedar on MSNBC, Russiagate. Why didn't he do a segment on this? So if Trump was a Putin puppet, why would he send arms to Ukraine? Going against the rebels that are fucking Nazis who are going against the pro-Putin group in Ukraine.
So he sent guns to the pro-Nazi group too. So we send guns and give them money. That's what we do, Nick, to Nazis over there.
And remember, we are saying that Russia is anti-democracy because they're influenced, but we have been constantly pushing to Ukraine, and Putin is doing is reactive to the U.S. and NATO, and the same fucking thing we would do and have done times 10. The Monroe doctrine, the economic war against Cuba because Cuba sided with the Soviet Union and communism over capitalism. Everything they are accusing Putin of doing, we have done way more efficiently. The average shitlib believes that Putin killed more people than Barack Obama. That's so crazy.
So that's what happens when you don't read and you just watch, Hollywood news stories.
Yeah,
that's
this
what
is
happens.
the anti-intellectualism we push back against. The people who say Trump is anti-war. How can you say Trump is anti-war? He's doing this shit. I was going crazy during the Trump administration. Mm-hmm. So I'll just read this part real quick. The State Department says the U.S. will provide Ukraine with enhanced defensive capabilities, which is 100% offensive. That's just bullshit. I want you guys to know. That's all they always say defensive. To protect itself against Russia-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine. So this is what I want you guys to know. Even Barack Obama didn't do this. He posed sanctions. Yeah. But Obama decided that providing lethal weapons to Ukraine will accomplish little but antagonize Putin. So if you had media that was consistent, they would be like, "Oh my God, Barack Obama is a Putin puppet."
Right.
Barack Obama is a Putin puppet. Why is he not arming the Ukrainian rebels? See, the last thing I want to share. This is what I said earlier, then we can move on. I'm not even going to read that much of the story, but I read it before. This is what I read earlier. The CIA conducted cyber attacks against Iran and guess who? Russia. After secret, not Biden order, not Barack Obama order, but the Putin puppet. This is why Russiagate is so stupid. And Sam Cedar went on MSNBC and pushed this shit.
I can't believe it's 2000. I can't believe that guy. He's terrible though.
This is 2008. So they printed this in 4. This is what kills me, guys. You can find all this shit we report on this show in mainstream news. So despite the fact that you can find this shit in mainstream news, they still repeat obviously false shit. So you can tell they don't read. You can tell they're not intellectually curious. They just watch MSNBC, whatever Rachel Maddow says. Because the thing is, you watch New York Times, if you read this shit, they'll occasionally explain some shit to you. They'll say in a pro-capitalist way. They will say, "Oh yeah, they're like, yeah, actually, I think we should take out the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, so we should put sanctions on them if they don't vote the way we do." I'm like, hey, they admitted it. The things they admitted it. Anyway, take a segment up with that. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, great transition here. Just what happened to the? I guess I have to start over. I don't know what happened to the. Oh, maybe I'll hit back. Let me try that. Okay, there we go. I didn't know which button I hit. All right, so friend of the show, BJG Brianna or Bree, put out this video here, and let's just play it. Oh, let me read the tweet. It's a quote. It says, "AOC took grassroots money with her grassroots PAC. I think that's PAC without a K, and gave it to corporate candidates. People that did give up their lunch money that did hard work for her. She's turned it around and gave it to people she's supposed to fight. She's supposed to fight against. Sorry, I couldn't. My eyes are getting blurry. That is the quote. So let's hear it from her mouth, directly from her mouth.
Would
This
be
is
that change and make that difference, and we're very inspired by people
this
like
is Bree interviewing Paula, or has Paula on her show. So Paula Jean, friend of the show, both of them friend of the show. So here is that interview. Here's a clip from that interview.
Do you think an independent could win in West Virginia?
If we built the infrastructure, they had the support, I do. Right now, I won't run for office again. I joined the People's Party, but I will not run for office again and take people's dollars. People sacrifice millions of Americans for so-called grassroots campaigns. And I think that the progressive label has been co-opted by a lot of these corporate candidates. But a lot of people gave up a lot of their time. Millions of Americans did. They gave up their money. They give up their, their lunch, their bill money to fight for candidates that now some of them are elected and they're not fighting for us.
There's a lot of people on the left who really felt that way and believe strongly that electing the squad members and the squad adjacent folks would be that change and make that difference. And we're very inspired by people like Cori Bush, who has this amazing personal story and was living in her car and seemed to have a closeness to the precarity that so many Americans experience, and really hoped that would translate meaningfully, especially given the narrow margins in the House and how much power a small group of progressives have to hold up any legislative agenda, the same way that Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are exercising that power in the Senate. And I wonder what you make of how they've done so far and some of the criticism that they've received now that they've been in office for 4 years.
Oh, one thing about Joe Manchin, I want to say, he's fallen into the rotating villain narrative.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been any secret, even back when Joe Manchin was a delegate.
Apology.
And he's not a people servant; he's a corporate servant. And as far as the squad goes, Cori Bush is a wonderful woman. I've always loved her, but I wonder what's going on. We were promised that they would go in and bust the halls of Congress wide open, and they would be strong advocates still for Medicare for all, a living wage. And, they've pulled back from that. AOC, she took grassroots money with her grassroots PAC and gave it to corporate candidates, people that did give up their lunch money, people that did work hard for her, people that did take their bill money and give it to her. She turned it around and gave it to people that she's supposed to fight against. I don't know what's going on with them. I wish that we could get answers, but this is not what we were promised. And this is why people feel so discouraged right now with this so-called movement, because millions of Americans gave up their time and money. And now we're all facing the disappointment of people making promises. And once they got there, they're not doing their jobs.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, that is the video. Yeah. I mean, it's very.
Don't show our DMs, bro.
Yeah, it's very. You said what's your? Oh, don't show my DMs. Oh, it's very. It doesn't matter. It's very. Hang on 1 second here. Okay, now I think I'm good. I think it's the whole I'm grassroots funded, and then you take that money, like she said, lunch money, like people who are believing you're going to fight the exact people you are actually giving the money to. And this, I think I did a video on this. Is like this. I guarantee you, maybe it was a tweet. I guarantee you, the people who donated to Nancy to the squad and AOC to get them in office, if you ask them why I put you in office, I guarantee you they're not going to say to chum me up with Mama Bear and Nancy Pelosi. I guarantee you they're not going to say to go in there and vote for police budgets. I guarantee you they're not saying that. They're expecting you to go in there and fight. And I guarantee you those hours that they spent to make that terrible salary, that terrible pay that they're getting from those employers, to give it to you just to give it to corporate bullshit ass Democrats. Like, it's just, to me, it's just I don't understand people that still defend people. I don't understand people that defend politicians
I
just
look at
from the
all of them
jump.
sideways.
Yeah, and I don't understand people that defend the squad in particular and AOC in particular. I don't get that. Just crazy. Go ahead, Nick.
People always say you shouldn't be doing leftist infighting. What leftist infighting? I was talking to Misty and Pasta, and Pasta asked me, love that dude. He like challenged me sometimes. He asked me like, why you guys all use leftism? Why you guys all use leftists, like International Leftist Coalition? He said, shouldn't you guys use populists? Like Pasta. I like when he trying to push back on me. And I pretty much explained to him, like, yeah, I get why you want to run away from that. Because when people think of leftists, they think of AOC. Yeah. It makes sense when people are like, I don't want to be called a leftist. I don't want to be called progressive no more. But some people call me a gatekeeper, and I guess I'm guilty of that too. But my gate is very short. It's a very short gate that most people can step over. Because what I say you're not a leftist unless you're an anti-capitalist and you're an anti-imperialist. That is very easy. And if you build a movement based on those principles, you will have a pretty solid movement. You have a pretty solid movement of anti-racism, anti-capitalism. And you have a pre-populist, pro-worker position if you have that as your starting point. So you have to understand that when I say AOC and Bernie is not leftist, that is quite literally fact. Once again, that short gate of being anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, they're not even anti-imperialist. And one can make the argument that they're not anti-capitalist. In fact, they're not.
They're not anti. I was going to say, I can say it. They're not anti-capitalist.
Just for simplicity and for time's sake, you can just take the anti-imperialist part. You know how disgusting it is that they're not saying anything? Where's AOC in them on the whole escalation on the Cold War? Nothing. Right. Cricket. Where's the talking about the escalation in China, the sanctions on Nicaragua and Honduras and Venezuela? Nothing. In fact, AOC follows Juan Guaido on Twitter.
Well, this is the reason why I said this is the reason why I said running as a Democrat. It doesn't matter. You could be the greatest, the most perfect humanitarian. Doesn't matter. The group you are joining is terrible. The group you are joining, look what they're doing. And you either are going to speak up and catch hell from them, or you're not going to speak up and catch hell from us. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's such a terrible position that you have to be silent. You have to do these fake, I didn't vote. I abstained from voting, even though the bill passed, but just so you can show that you didn't vote for it. Like, that fucking shit matters. Not voting for shit matters so that it doesn't pass. Not for you to display some sort of theater. Like, you're learning too much, AOC, from Nancy Pelosi. This theater, you're learning too much. Like, somebody over the last year, and I've been saying this for about a year, somebody is grooming her because she began to be different, and even how she talked, like her mannerisms, what she's doing. So she's being groomed for decades. Yeah, she's being groomed for decades of service to the duopoly. Decades of service.
Boston University. Yeah. We did story talking about that CIA.
Good Lord, 200 comments. This is the story. Yeah. 200 comments. Let me put some up.
I say the super chats. We're gonna go through the super chats. Keep them coming, guys. We're gonna go through the super chats after segment. The one thing I'm gonna say, because I hear this from people who feel like I betrayed the progressive movement. There's so many of these people who they loved me when I was canvassing for Bernie, and I started out as a citizen journalist, giving speeches in black barbershops, sharing black people's stories, convincing them to shift to the left and support healthcare. So a lot of these Bernie stands, they loved me, and then they considered me betraying the movement. So many of these people, a lot of these people who used to follow me, they used to love me because they Bernie stands, right? So, and they always say, why go against, quote unquote, our closest allies? Why go against the people who are the most progressive in Washington when we got so much worse? We have so much worse. This is the argument. And I was on Jimmy Dore show, and I explained exactly why we go after AOC. The same reason why I go after the Black Congressional Caucus. The same reason I go after Barack Obama. People ask me why as a black man, I hate Barack Obama. I hate Barack Obama because I'm black. Because there's nothing worse than a betrayal. Nothing worse than betrayal. That's why I go harder on Barack Obama, Jim Clyburn, John Lewis than I do any other politician. The same reason I go hard on the progressives, because I'm very open about the fact that I bought the idea of the Justice Democrats. I bought the idea of taking over the Democratic Party at one point. That's why I was canvassing for Bernie. Now, this is something I am willing to admit was my fault. I want to admit that I can take the L on this, because it was clear, and this is why I don't consider these people allies anymore. It was clear that I misread the mission. This is why I was wrong. They lied to us as well, but I misread the mission because they said they want to take on the Democratic Party establishment. That's what Bernie ran on. He didn't run on being a Biden bro. He said we're going to challenge the Democratic Party establishment and have a political revolution. Then he took money from working class people who barely can afford to feed themselves. Then they sold us out to the Democratic Party. So if you're a politician and you take money from corporations and sell it to people, that's horrific. But you kind of should have seen it coming at this point. Isn't it more nefarious when you take money? Because I had conversations with people who almost at the point of tears, like I was almost at the beginning of the stream, who said, I can't afford healthcare. They took money from these people, and then they couldn't even be bothered being seen marching with them. They said they don't want to be seen at the Medicare for All march because they don't want to be seen with the deplorables. This is their mindset. But they took our money. That's more nefarious, if you ask me, than what Joe Manchin does. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Because Manchin is straight up honest.
Yeah.
Like, he's straight up like, bro, I pretty much work for the corporations, you dumbass.
Yeah.
He was like, when asked about, I remember, I still, in the campaign, he was asked if it come down between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump, who we vote for. He's like, not Bernie. Shit. He like, between Bernie and
Listen
Trump.
to that.
That's what Joe Manchin said. So
that.
this motherfucker is honest to y'all. Joe Manchin be like, y'all, I don't give a fuck about you. So honestly, that's not as bad as what AOC and Bernie does. When they be like, I'm gonna fight for you motherfuckers. Take your money. I'm not taking corporate money. I'm taking your money. And then I'm gonna use that money to fund CIA Democrats. How is that not the most nefarious shit in Washington right now? Am I being too tough? Hell no. Hell no. Because I said I admit the L because I thought the reason why I thought we could take over the Democratic Party, the reason why I was sold on Bernie and AOC when I first started, because I thought they would give a fuck. I thought they would call out Joe Biden for his war crimes. I thought they would march for us on Medicare for all. I thought they would force the vote. I thought they would show up to a general strike summit. I thought AOC would use her 12 million followers to organize a strike. I thought Bernie would take his giant email list. He developed a giant email list, a giant movement, and he let it die. I thought he would keep it because he said he wanted a political revolution. So I thought, like, all right, shit, let's do a political revolution. I was down, motherfucker. I was down. But this is why I said I was wrong. I take the L because I misread what you guys was about. You guys lied to me. You guys were like, I'm going to take on the establishment. I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. Now you wonder why I'm mad? So isn't that more nefarious than what Mitch McConnell does? Mitch McConnell not saying, I'm going to fight for you getting healthcare. He said, fuck you. I'm going to support the police state. I'm going to fucking fund wars. I'm going to fund big pharma. Meanwhile, they're saying they're going to fight for you. They take their money.
Right. Taking the energy. They're harnessing the energy that people have hatred for our system, for our parties. And you're saying, yeah, this party sucks. Come on with me. Revolution. Everybody. And then you go, Barack Obama come in, and then you go and just let it dissolve. Like, that was so deflating, Nick. We should probably do a show about the last couple of the days after Bernie Sanders dropped out, because it was the left was deflated. Nobody know who do we go to hear the next message, the next fight, or what do we do? Like, and he just left. So, I mean, to me, it's terrible. But let me read this super chat here. Love you guys. First time ever doing a super chat. Keep on my brothers. Kelly Park, LBC. I know that place, Kelly Park and LBC. I know that place.
I say the super chat so we can wrap that segment. I think that's a good way to end it. Let's go through some super chats. I know we had a 2-hour mark. I have one more video on play. We can make it a quick segment. If you want
go ahead.
If you want to dip, you can dip. I can make it a solo.
No, I got like 20 minutes. I got the 20 minutes.
Yeah. I got because I knew there was no. I told you before the show, there's no way we're gonna get through all this shit today. I think I got a show tomorrow. I'm back this week, so I'm gonna do a lot of shows. So anything I didn't cover today, I'm gonna cover throughout this week. So make sure you guys subscribe and follow our live streams we have every single day. Tomorrow we have International Leftist Coalition. I might do a solo show because I got a few stories I want to cover. I didn't get a chance to do on Saturday because I was grieving. But let's go through some super chats. And then this is more of a fun. It's fun, but it shouldn't be fun. But I like roasting these neoliberals. So anyway, we're going back a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm gonna get better at reading the super chats. I know sometimes we miss them, but I'm gonna try to get better. So can we rescue the American people instead? I'm sure this is in reference to the military budgets and when I was playing the endless war. So that's what most American people are starting to see through. Like, why we support military expansion, like investing into Ukraine that serves no benefit to the American people. Like the waging financial war in Afghanistan and Venezuela, this shit does nothing for us. We're starving. Meanwhile, y'all motherfuckers are advocating for giant police budget and military budgets. But anyway, thank you for super chat. Any thoughts, CJ? I'm gonna try to get through them. I think you're muted.
Sorry, no, not on this one. Not on this one.
All right, so let's thank you for the $5 show. Please expose more of those political TikTokers. They get so many views and are spreading so much BS. They are deeply unserious. And I did a segment before as well. Well, I was explaining how the ruling class did a better job of adjusting to the new digital age of information than we gave them credit for. So we thought that we're gonna have a generation of anti-establishment minded people because we have the internet, which we do. But the establishment, they got their streamers like Vosh and David Doe and them repeating CIA talking points because they know, like, if you have someone who play video games like Vosh, Hassan, Destiny, like all these people, I only learn because I got in this game now, right? Like, I know who these people are now. I can't unlearn them. So I realize when I see these people, when I see Hassan go against the General Strike Summit, when I see Vosh repeating pro-CIA Syrian talking points, repeating the debunked gas narrative that Aaron Mate debunked, I realized that the establishment realizing we got to reach Gen Z with pro-CIA, pro-neoliberal talking points, and we got to mask it under leftist policies. So Vosh and them say, oh my God, we're super socialists. We explained on a segment before Hassan said I'm a super socialist to draw in Gen Z. And then they say, boom, let's do some neoliberalism. Let's do some incrementalism. Let's support the Democrats. Like Cenk Uygur, I'm wondering if I can find it. Because me and Jimmy were roasting them on Twitter because he's doing that thing they always do, where they're like, "Oh my God, the Democrats suck. The Democrats suck. This is unbelievable." Like, you about to tell them to vote for him.
And then you say, "Go vote for him."
I'm gonna see if I can find it. I can probably find it here quickly. But thank you for super chat. Any thoughts? Let's see if I can find it quickly.
No, we do. We have to. Maybe we can do a day or a segment where we just have a bunch of TikToks and we play them and we just debunk them.
That'll be
live. Yeah, just like the one you have. Maybe like 4 or 5 of them, and we're just do.
Yeah, maybe we gotta do something like submit like TikTok videos. Do like art. Like we gotta do something.
Yeah, let's do that. Where they submit it and then we pick some. Yeah, let's do that.
That'd be dope, guys. This year would be dope.
Great idea. So yeah, do we got any other super chats or just regular?
I found this. We got some more super chats. I'm gonna try to get them quick. I know you tough on time, CJ. Because this is me and Jimmy. Because this was Cenk Uygur tweeted out, and I'm telling you, this is why you gotta stay subscribed to the channel and share the channel, please. Because you're not gonna get a 2020 election like we're gonna do. I promise you. So all the progressives, all the boutique leftists, the TYT love, the Sam Cedars, they are going hard on Joe Biden right now because he's deeply unpopular. It's easy to do that now. But what are you going to do? What are you going to tell people to do when, at the end of the day, they're going to tell people to vote for him? So this is what Cenk said. Trying to sound tough. The official new Democratic strategy is to blame all their failures on the voters. If you have voted for us enough, if you've given us more power, if you have blindly supported us, then we will win. No, people will support you if you fought for them. Do something. Nigga, you vote for these people and they don't fight for you. He said,
I was gonna say we need to come up with a phrase or a name for these people because this is what these people are, where they speak populist leftist language to grab you, and then they'll just send you back to the Democratic Party. This seems like a strategy because it's too many people all doing it at the same time, and people you would never think to have done it. Like people in this last election who made it seem like, oh, they begrudgingly supported Joe Biden, but now every single video is supporting Joe Biden. It's like, but you call yourself a progressive, and it's astonishing. And they have to be getting paid. Brooklyn Dad is another one where you just thought he was a person that's tweeting out a bunch of stuff. Then after the election, come to find out, no, he's being paid. All these TikTokers too. Go ahead.
So Jimmy did a classic response he usually does. So this is what they do, and this is why I was playing here. These people are going to tell their audience to vote Democrat this year. They do this bitching thing where they complain about Joe Biden. It's only for clout. Anything we tell you, we believe. Everything. We're intellectually consistent, and I dare you to find the inconsistencies in my argument. And if you do, like people have done it, like in my time as I have been called out in my community for a few takes, not just because you're intellectually consistent. So this is an amazing grift. You make money being anti-establishment, but then you maintain your good graces with the establishment because you still will tell them to vote for them every few years. So this is another super chat. I'm gonna try to go through them here. Thank you for $5. This isn't the first time the United States worked with Nazis. Check out Operation Paperclip.
Yes.
Well said. I think that comment speaks for itself. Like I said, our community is unbelievably well educated. That's why I love reading the chat here. Thank you. Thank you for the $5. So grateful for this place to be. Once again, we less than 1 year old. We less than 1 year old.
Handy body. I think that's handy body. I think that's how you say handy body.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we just getting started, man. Just imagine this year, man. They're gonna shut our.
That's true. We haven't hit a year yet. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so crazy, guys. So
crazy.
Thank you for the $5. The U.S. vetoed and U.S. Yeah, I read this one before.
That one. I think you're getting into the ones we already read. Yeah.
Yeah, I read this one before. He pretty much explained the situation there. I think this is the last one we didn't read. Totally artificial tone and phrasing. Definitely reading a script. Sound like a TV pundit. So I think this is the one when we talk about the TikToker. Definitely. That's why I asked the question. I legitimately don't know if she wrote that or she was fed it. Because I can see the argument both ways. Because you can make the argument that the reason they prop her up is because she's willing to make those arguments.
Right.
But also, she's willing to. There are also people who are willing to be superstars. So they want to read from a CIA script if they can get it for you.
Right. To me, it's the same thing. So whether you're working directly or whether you were just a person who had a following and then they contact you and get you to do this, like you're working for them. Whatever that establishment arm that contacted you is irrelevant to me. You're working for them. And to me, she's clearly that video. It was like it's like. Do a propaganda video that people can clearly see as propaganda, and then she made that video.
So it's crazy. I may do a stream tomorrow around sometime in the afternoon. I still got a few stories I want to cover. Yeah. But I want to show this clip. I think this is a clip we can laugh at. I saw this. You actually quote tweeted it. When you see it. I have to get a reaction. I had to go through this clip today. Yeah. Because this is talking about so why one of the funniest things as an observer of shit-lived culture is there inherent confusion about why Joe Biden is unpopular. They always come up with these weird theories, right? They're oh my God, Joe Biden is unpopular because of social media misinformation. That's the number one thing they always say. Because, oh my God, social media is radicalizing. There's so much misinformation. As if it's not obvious why people dislike. It's not obvious why Joe Biden is the most unpopular and Kamala Harris the most unpopular vice president. So I'm not going to do a long preface because we're long time. I'm going to go right to the clip because I think it speaks for itself. Why is the Biden administration so unpopular? It's such a mystery, right, CJ? Let's see why. Despite the fact that they're failing miserably
at everything.
And literally everything. Right? So despite that, what is their message to the American people that will ease their anxieties as they failed on COVID? They failed on violence. They expand the military budgets. They expand the drug war. Man, don't fall for the joke. This is what they do. They be like, oh my God, people are disappointed because we couldn't pass legislation because of Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. As if Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema has anything to do with you not using your executive authority to cancel student loan debt. As if Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema has anything to do with you funding the apartheid state of Israel more than Donald Trump. What do they have to do with that? What do Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin have to do with the fact that you're expanding ICE? So now people who like there are good faith actors who was like, I want to end the kids in cages. Like there are a lot of shit libs who don't care. But guys, honestly, there are a lot of people who are not politically inclined who saw Trump in cages and didn't know we did that. They didn't know Barack Obama did that. So now they see Biden doing this. They're legitimately trying. I see people on Twitter all the time like, fuck, he is like Trump. Fuck. So that's why he's unpopular. And also this clip. Let me dive into it. I preface the story long enough so I would. But this is what he tweeted. I do the clip and now read your tweet. But this is Saki.
So my advice to
Is audio playing?
everyone out there who's frustrated.
Yes. Yes, I can hear it.
So my advice to everyone out there who's frustrated, sad, angry, pissed off, feel those emotions, go to a kickboxing class, have a margarita, do whatever you need to do this weekend, and then wake up on Monday morning, we got to keep fighting. And what that means, Lindsay, is we have to keep talking to members about federal legislation. That's essential. That's something that can be permanent, that can make sure people's rights are protected. But we also need to make sure people are educated in states across the country about what their rights are, how they can vote, when they can vote, how to request an absentee ballot. There's a lot we need to do on that front, and that's going to rely on the energy and the anger of that activism as well. So
she's terrible.
All y'all gotta do is keep fighting. All you gotta do is get educated.
That's it.
Just Google it, man. Google it. That's what I've been saying. Right?
Yeah, go work off that stress and go to a kickboxing class. Have a margarita. Like, this is what they think. This is what this party think. As if poor people can go have a margarita and go to a kickboxing class when they're working 60, 70 hours a week and can't freaking make ends meet. It's such a non-recognition of existence in their language when they speak of the poor. Like, they don't even speak. There's not anyone voicing that point of view. Oh, go to get some margaritas and go to, kickboxing class. That's what you can do. As if that's all the stress, as if that is going to eliminate the stress of being poor. Eliminate the stress of being under constant stress. This is something that Professor Zonka said, I think when we were with him, both you and I. Our stress levels are meant to go up and down. But when you're in poverty, you're at a constant, elevated level of stress. What does those things develop into? Conditions. A constant elevated level of stress because you don't know if you're going to pay your bills, if your rent, if you have enough food to pay buy food for your kids. So just go have a margarita. Go to kickboxing class for your 60-hour-a-week job. Go to kickboxing class for your $7.25 an hour job. It's a complete ignorance of just what millions of people are going through with that comment, and that was my reaction to it. What was yours, Nick?
Oh yeah, I forgot to read your tweet. This is your tweet response after you now that we heard you articulate it. This is what you said at the tweet. This is where I found it. Like I pretty much get educated by my comrades on Twitter, like Jay. All poor, marginalized, disenfranchised people go to kickboxing class and drink. This is pretty much what you're saying. Like, this is the disconnect. And remember my monologue I did at the very beginning of the stream. Like, if you just now watch it soon, rewind it. You can rewind it, refresh, watch my monologue when I talk about the eugenics of the poor. If you're rich, if you're like Hassan, if you're like Vosh, if you come from generational wealth, you will never get it. You can show solidarity. You can listen to our stories, but no matter what you think, you will never understand the crushing effects of poverty. How that affects your mental health. Let's say in a scenario where you even if you are doing somewhat okay as a working class person, where you can afford kickboxing class, you know what one of my biggest struggles as a martial artist has been, and one of the reasons why I had to stop kind of training, because I used to sell cars. And when I sold cars, I used to work 60 hours a week. And when I sold cars, I honestly made more money than I ever did. I could afford kickboxing. But the thing, in order for me to do well in my job, especially working 60 hours a week, you work so hard. You're a worker ant, pretty much. Do you even have the bandwidth to do things like yoga? I remember when I was in college, I was in great shape. Like, this is when I was in my peak. I used to run 5 miles a day. I used to do yoga because I had more time. I was a student for the most part, right? So I used to take care of I used to be martial artist. I used to train, like I used to do 2 days, lift weights. Then when you get working class, you don't have time like that. And then you realize that I don't even have kids. So imagine if you're that guy, and I knew a lot of them, especially in the car industry. I didn't get how they did it. They work 60 hours a week, and then you gotta take care of the kids. You barely see the kids because your boss is working you to death. So then what time do you have if you're working 60 hours a week? You barely got any vacation time. They give us no vacation, right? Where is this time from? Where is this? This is what rich people don't understand. Even if you guys are working hard at your management job where you guys at a desk, you just tell people what to do all day. When you're a CEO, you're at the office, you're just on meetings all day. You motherfuckers not work. You guys are not even working that hard. You guys are not even working that hard. So even when you do work, you got bandwidth to do that. And then even if you are working hard, they give you a fucking shit ton of vacation time, so you can take 2 weeks out and have a yoga retreat. What the fuck is a yoga retreat? What the fuck is a Disneyland? I don't know what the fuck a Disneyland is. Oh, Disneyland. You just stressed out to go to Disneyland. What the fuck is it? I've never been to Disneyland my whole life. What the fuck? But anyway, another point I want to make on this, because that clip speaks for itself, and this is why the Biden administration is unliked. Do you think people see this shit? Like, there are a lot of yes queens who are trying their best on Twitter, like Jen Psaki slaves. Like, you know, these are people that are bots.
Oh my god!
The average person do not think this way. That this is why Biden is tanking. Biden is seeing this. That people are seeing this, and they're like, this dude is literally like Trump. There are a lot of people who don't like both parties. They still disagree with me. I used to say Biden is just like Trump, and then people are like, oh, I don't like Biden, but you really gonna say you like Trump? Those people are just not, and I see it all the time. These people are like, God damn, they was right. He is like Trump. So the last point I want to make, this is a very substantive point, and I made this point on the channel a long time ago. I've seen a lot of people, I see people in chat like, I've seen this on Savvy, I've seen on K Hopper, and I've seen a lot of people roast some Jen Psaki lately. And you remember the clip we put on George Carlin when George Carlin, like, you guys, see, I don't really complain about politicians like that. And you guys want to be honest, you guys want me to be honest with you? You guys notice I don't really complain about Jen Psaki that much. You guys want to know why? Why would I complain about Jen Psaki? Isn't she doing what Sarah Huckabee Sanders did?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't she doing what Obama press secretary did? What's the name of the other guy? Sean Spicer? Isn't he doing what Sean Spicer did? What's the role of the press secretary, guys?
To lie.
The role of the press secretary is to lie on behalf of the Biden administration, the executive branch,
presidency,
and that applies to all the office. Like whenever you see spokespeople, whenever you see governors got press secretaries as well, their job is to lie. And Jen Psaki, the reason why you hate her is because, you gotta be honest, she is good at what she does. She is a great press secretary. Because the job of a press secretary is to go out and answer all the hard questions that our president is too much of a coward to do. So her job is to take the fall. Why do you think so many press secretaries resign? Trump went through like 3 of them. I think Obama went through like 2. I don't remember Obama.
They always have high turnover because there's a high stress. I'm pummeled with all those questions.
Their job is to take the heat for the president. So I see people I like, you guys kind of fall for it. People will be like, oh my God, fuck Jen Psaki. Fuck, Jen Psaki's the worst. I can't believe Jen Psaki is so horrible. You guys notice I never say that? You guys know what I say? And I made this argument a long time ago. Actually, I made this argument on Jimmy Dore, actually, on one of his live streams. The press secretary shouldn't exist. Abolish the fucking position.
Yeah. Have him come out and say something. You come out and answer questions.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a good press secretary because their job is to lie for the administration. It just Psaki. People roast me for saying Psaki. Anyway, Psaki, silent P. Psaki. She's doing the same thing Sarah Huckabee Sanders does. The reason why she looks bad is because the Biden administration is horrible. So how do you apologize for the Biden administration? You do what Jen Psaki does. You be super condescending, you avoid questions, and you pull this bullshit. So instead of getting mad at Psaki, get mad at the Biden administration because everything you hear from the press secretary comes from the Biden administration. So when I see people get mad at Psaki, don't get mad at her. Get mad at Biden because she's just doing her job. She's just great at it. Like she's great. Like now that you hear this analysis from me, watch another Psaki video and analyze what she's doing. I watch her and I'm like, oh my God, she put on a clinic. Right. She put on a clinic on how to lie for the executive branch. And liberals don't even see it. Like CJ said, once you see it, the propaganda, you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it.
During the Trump administration, I remember everyone used to talk about, people used to melt down about Sean Spicer. People used to melt down about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I never did, because that should be Trump. That should be Biden. Why is Biden not out there?
Trump actually came out there for a good several times. Came out there, and I mean, I don't like him. I think he's a piece of shit, but I do give him credit for that, coming out there for hours talking and when they were doing the COVID.
Yeah, so we can wrap the segment with that. That's my last substance take on that. Like, just we should be loud. Abolish press secretaries. Like, the idea, and this is coming from the establishment. We have press secretaries because the governor and the president is too busy to address the media for an hour a day. That's absurd. Do you guys really believe Joe fucking Biden is so busy he don't have 1 hour to address the American people that he is sworn to an oath to represent? That is not too much to ask for. My position is, if you're an elected official, and I don't care if you think this is radical, you owe us an hour a day. 1 hour a day to explain your policies, address pushback. And if you can't do that, you are not fit to serve. Now, do you guys really think that Joe Biden, I think Barack Obama could have did, to be honest, but do you do you guys really think that Joe Biden and Donald Trump could have do an hour every single goddamn day with it being grilled? And once again, under my society, they don't screen questions. Like, that should be illegal. They do that.
Yeah.
So that you don't screen questions 1 hour a day. Watch how the public will turn against the politicians. They don't do that. So instead, they have press secretaries. That's the point I want you guys to have away. Anyway, CJ, go ahead.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And I just wanted to, when we were talking about the effects of poverty, this video came to mind. So I just wanted to kind of let, our viewers see it, about the traumatic effects of poverty on people, on kids. This video right here, I'll play. Oh, hold on. How about I unmute it? There we go. Now, let's play the video.
You listen to it. It's a good you want some of those, right? Mom, see, that's why I like y'all when y'all small. They accept stuff. You get too big. Your feet growing. You in grown people's shoes now. Oh, please stop growing.
I'm embarrassed because I'm poor and I live in a shelter. It makes me feel like I just wish I never lived here.
It's a kid at the school who looks dressed worse than me, but he has his own house though. He got a house to call home. He don't have to go sit down with thousands of people to eat dinner. He can run to his refrigerator and open it up. And I can't do that. I have to wait till a certain time and I have to eat, because if I don't eat, I will starve all night until the next morning.
Make sure you stay in line so you can get your plate, okay?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Stand right here. And as soon as she goes, Johnny, you go after Jasmine.
As a mother, you always got different thoughts going through your head and mind and wishing that you could change things and wishing things was different. But what are you to do? You can't keep beating yourself up about it. But at the same time, it's just hard. Having a family is hard. Maintaining a family is hard. Keeping us indoors is hard.
Hey, Mom and Daddy. Guess what I got on my grades?
What?
Oh, that's good.
On for the Willis team.
So that saved you from 70 lashes, didn't it?
Yeah, so I just wanted to play that because
this
like,
is different, man.
Go ahead.
No, I wasn't trying to cut you off. I'm just saying this is every day for us. Like if you're watching now, if you didn't catch the whole stream, I implore you guys to watch the beginning. We allow you guys to rewind, and I'll talk about the eugenics of the poor, and I can do a whole other live long stream. I might talk about it tomorrow because I want to do a live stream tomorrow. Cause I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Like if you look at the long-term effects of stuff like this, like how it affects stress factors, how stress can lead to increased heart disease, and then you see statistics that African Americans are most likely to suffer from heart disease and failure. Like, and you guys don't connect this stuff. Like this stuff I read and I connect this immediately and see like this is why this is why life expectancy is dropping, despite the fact that we're supposed to be in the so-called future 2022, the advanced society. So you can continue to add on anything you want to say, CJ, but this is eugenics of the poor. And this is why you need to listen. This is why we started Black Leftist Network, CJ. Like if you listen to a channel that has some millionaire fuck as a host, even if they're good, there are a lot of millionaire hosts I like. But did they go through this shit? There's some that have. There's some that are self-made. But there are a lot of them who are generationally taken care of and wealthy. And honestly, they don't even want to talk to these people. They rather talk to boogie Harvard-educated guests. They don't even want to give these people a platform. In fact, if you do, they'll smear you as red, brown lines like they did us. But this is why I implore you guys to check out, not even just Black leftists, but indigenous, anyone who's poor and working class who lived through this shit. You're going to get a different analysis. You're not going to get that rah-rah vote Democrat shit when you know people like when I hear this clip, it moves me, but it's just more of the same. It's quite literally more of the same. The only difference between me and a lot of my friends and family is that a lot of them are caught blindsided by a lot of the traumas that happen in their life, and they have a hard time explaining. Like it's like, why? I can't believe this is happening. Why is this happening? I can't believe my life is going this way. And I'm like, I can explain why. I can explain why. It's fucking capitalism crushing us. I remember I had a friend that I'm not gonna reveal that much about him, but we was having a conversation and he damn near had a mental breakdown because he was telling me how every single time he starts to get financially stable, he had to start over again. Something happens, whether you lose a job, some bullshit happens. We house him multiple times. Like every time he got on his feet, something happens. That $500 emergency fucks him up. This dude got the worst car luck I ever seen in my life, for example. This dude cannot make a car always break down. He can't afford it, and then that fucks him up with. It's an endless poverty cycle that if you haven't lived it, you can't even commentate on it. You can talk theory all you want. You can read Marx, I guess. You can do that and try to relate to working class people. But unless you lived it, unless you had to, like I have housed multiple people over the last few years who otherwise would be homeless. Unless you have done that, you will not be able to do class analysis like we have done. So I hope you guys enjoy because that's what we want to continue to share on this show. We got our Patreon that been scrolling by. Also support us individually as well. I might do a live stream tomorrow around 4 p.m. Eastern because I got a few stories I still want to cover, and I was gone on Saturday, so I think that'd be a good makeup day. And I'm gonna have a Saul back in too, but I don't know if we still scheduled for Tuesday. We may do next Tuesday, but we see. But we upload every day. So I hope you guys enjoyed. CJ, anything else you want to add?
I just want
to anything you want to say before we? We
have
a few more chats I saw as well.
No, what I wanted to say was that she at the end when she's describing this is the part, Nick, that I'm not sure people. Maybe I'll have to put this back. I'm not sure people are putting together capitalism, right?
Change things and wishing things was different. But what are you to do? You can't keep beating yourself up about it. But at the same time, it's just hard. Having a family.
Sorry. But please pause.
No. I just wanted this. That's where I wanted to stop it. It's that people aren't putting together. It's just thinking life is hard. Is being designed hard to keep people like her where she's at, so that the jobs that are going to pay her, she'll be okay to say, look where she's at. This is a perfect example. Look where she's at, a shelter. So if she found a job paying $11 an hour, guess what she's going to be? Jumping for joy. You see the condition that capitalism puts you in to where a terrible job to you is a step up. So you live with that job because you say, at least I got a house. You live with a terrible place that got roaches and bad plumbing because you say, at least I got a house. It's this internalizing what's happening, like it's your fault. That life is so hard to just pay rent. It's terrible. So I could go all day with this type of stuff. So, but let's end it there unless you got
we can end it there.
It's just terrible.
Yeah, we ended there. The last thing I'm gonna say, because the reason I asked you to pause, because you see, I just said I'm not trying to beat myself up, and I tell you that story.
Yes,
with my
that
friend.
part there.
My friend was telling me. I told you when he told me he damn near had a mental breakdown, because I literally had to explain to him, because he was like, man, something always happened, and he was putting like the onus on himself, like why do I always fuck things up? Why do things always get bad? He like, why am I always fucked up? And I literally had to explain to him. This is why I'm sharing the story with you. I was like, it's not your fault, bro, because I'm telling you guys, this guy is the hardest working motherfucker that you guys would meet. The hardest worker. But I'm telling you, he has not been able to get ahead. And I literally had to explain to him, I'm like, bro, it's not your fault, bro. You work hard. It's the system that is fucking you up, man. And we got to fight. And that's what I'm trying to talk about. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank everyone for watching. I do want to give a quick shout out to last few super chats I saw. Thank you for the other new super chat for 25. Handy Bode. You left an early one. Appreciate that. I want this transcript so bad. Maybe we need some help, man, because I got a lot of clips I want to cut. Like, we need the transcripts. There's so much work to come into this. That's why we actually got to show support. If you guys show support, it allows us to do this stuff more, and we can do stuff like transcripts.
Thank you for your support. Yeah. Thank you for support. And we do want to do the elements for, those that, hearing impaired and so on. You just have to raise money for that. That's another thing, Nick, I want to bring up at the meeting. We probably raise money because that's a lot of money for our next summit. So that we, the hearing impaired are able to watch our next summit, the International Solidarity Summit. They're able to also watch it. Yeah. So we have to figure out how to raise money because it's so expensive. And this is the reason why they're locked. This is another thing. They're locked out too, because it's expensive for people to make. It's just terrible. But anyway, I don't want to continue to go because it's even more. Is there any other super chats we can?
There's not a super chat, but I'll just like this chat and we can end it on this one. Thank you, Cal. Capitalism forces kids to grow faster than they need to. That was I went in on there. That's like the real shit you hear, because that's exactly what poor kids have to do. Rich kids, you guys can go Disney World. I still don't like. What the fuck is that? You guys can have imaginations. You guys don't have to worry about poverty. Right. You guys don't have to worry about getting that job to help pay the bills. You guys can have an amazing childhood. And I'm not saying I had a horrible childhood. I'm just saying I never went to fucking Disneyland. I didn't go on no fucking vacations. All the shit that I hear a lot of you guys go through, that just didn't happen for me. And the thing, I'm not even mad. We was conditioned to the point that we would even feel bad to ask my mom for shit. And she would do shit for our birthday and then for holidays. And then we would be like grateful for the whole year. Like damn, mom got me this video game. I can't wait till next Christmas so we can get another one. That's just how we conditioned. And if we played football, we did a lot of shit. I'm not even complaining about my childhood. I'm just highlighting the difference. If you're come from the upper class, you don't know. I'm just letting you guys know. There's a difference, but
right. You miss stuff, but if you never knew it, that's why you don't. That's why you don't miss it. And
people swear Disney World is dope.
Poor people find a way, man. Poor and oppressed people find a way to smile. They find a way to live through the oppression and still, have love and still have families. It's amazing to me. That's why, people say the struggle is beautiful, because it's beautiful to see people live through the oppression that they're being placed up under and still can smile, still can have a family, still could, do these things. But it's terrible. But anyway, I think we've come to the end of the stream. Nick and I can literally just keep going for
we can do Joe Rogan style shows.
Yeah, we could literally just keep going. So we're gonna cut it here. Nick will be on tomorrow, maybe a couple of streams, maybe one stream. I'll be back on Wednesday, February 2nd. I'm gonna come out with a graphic, but February 2nd, Nick, mark that on your calendar. Dr. Kareem. Another doctor we got, and then a doctor or Professor Zonkas. We want to do something and talking about this topic. It's funny. We're talking about trauma, and we have another doctor, but he's more about the racial politics, and that's why I wanted to bring this new doctor. His specialty is racialized politics, so I wanted to bring those three together. So February 2nd, it's a Wednesday. It'll be, after my Straight Out of Politics show in the evening. The Bank Sisters will be on Straight Out of Politics this Wednesday, Nick. If you're available, I know you haven't been on this week, so you might be itching to come on some stuff. If you want to come on this Wednesday, it's Straight Out of Politics on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join, if you want to jump on, the Bank Sisters will be on. And Z, Z from Z from Popular Voice, he'll be on too. Somebody else hit me up to come on. I want you to come on with me when I do his show, or not do his show, but when he comes on. Let me give you the name just so I can say it on camera, because it's kind of a to tease this. Sorry, I gotta kind of scroll all the way down. Hector. Hector Esquire. I don't want to mess up his last name, but
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Esquire. Yeah, he's wanting to come on. So so we got a lot of good stuff, and then of course Thursday's a roundtable. Friday we got Sabby Sab. Saturday Nick will be back here with his regular show. Sunday we got JB, and then next Monday Nick and I will be back here. So lots going on, lots of content going on. I got some interviews coming up. Danny H is coming up. Elias is coming up. Some professors are coming up. So we got some people that's coming up. Lots of good content coming up for everybody. That's all I got, Nick.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. This is Nick, Social Cinema, or Brother CJ. Sign out.